I brought up today is that I want to see Sienna in Georgetown on every agenda as a discussion item. And are we filming yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. We're close to it.
We're about to. He's just checking that. He's just checking.
Oh, he's
he's checking mic levels.
We're live.
He said you are now.
Oh, we're on.
There's more people signing in.
Until then.
Still have a couple more people signing in.
I'll grab you the
Thank you.
speaker sheet.
That makes sense.
And Susan's got the time.
Perfect. Thank you.
Oh, this is the.
Well, that's part of the management report.
This is the. Yeah, that's what.
Yeah,
that's where
I'm in the wrong section.
I'm in the wrong section. And then all this is the. Okay.
This is the new file that Rachel sends.
We're just waiting for a couple more to sign in real quick. Sorry.
I liked the camera over there last week. That was kind of fun. The camera over there. It was like a. It was a fan. So no, I'm all right. Thank you.
I have some. Thank you for asking.
I have very simple questions.
Debbie, behind you.
Very simple questions.
That's what I said.
So what happens to this now? So then CCMC can pick up the photo. 137, right? $26,000.
What are you talking about?
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for coming this evening. Just a quick reminder that every owner is welcome to have 3 minutes. It looks like there's several people that want to speak. We're going to keep it to a strict 3-minute time. We actually have a timer and everything. And remember, this is your opportunity if you wish to speak. This is your opportunity to do that. The board typically does not engage in the questions and responses, but it is absolutely your opportunity to speak as you wish. So at this moment in time, I've got a couple people that have signed up to speak. If you haven't and you still want to, there's plenty of time. PJ?
Good evening, PJ Cartwright, 1000 Via Capri Lane 102. First of all, I want to apologize for missing the meeting on the special board meeting on November 28th. I had plans to be out of town for Thanksgiving weekend and was unable to attend. I tried to watch the meeting but was unable to find a recording of the meeting. I did, however, read the minutes attached to the agenda of this meeting. You know, when you marry someone who has, when you marry someone who already has unruly teenagers, it's unfortunate that you have the responsibility of raising those teenagers even though you had nothing to do with them becoming unruly. Serving on a board of directors of an entity that's been in existence for 20 years is somewhat like that. Regardless of what you did or did not do in the past, you have the responsibility to deal with it. And I commend the board for taking the action to deal with this. I would like to tell everyone who may be watching and go on the record to remind everyone that it was this board's own discussion that brought this recently to the forefront. I did not bring it to the board's attention. None of my neighbors brought it to the board's attention. It was the board's own action. And when you put it on your agenda for further discussion, my neighbors and I merely came and voiced support. You may also recall, and I think your minutes or the recording will reflect, that I never gave my personal opinion until asked by one of your board members. When asked what I would do if sitting on the board, I gave an honest answer. Prior to that, I did not give my opinion or any advice to this board, nor would it have been appropriate for me to do so. I have, however, indicated to the board that unfortunately, this is a matter that is of news to many of my neighbors. They are either new in the association or in the community, and they are not aware that this matter has been going on since 2009. This is now 2016. So it's a long-standing issue, and I commend you for addressing it. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to count on our condominium board for input to my community. I think as board members with everyone's interest who owns or resides in this community, I would again ask that your board let everyone know in my community the facts behind it. We all teach each others how to treat us. And I've heard several board members say, why are we having problems with condominiums? It's because it's like telling a teenager, go clean up your room and then not doing it. Go clean up your room and not enforcing it. Eventually the teenagers will grow up and move out. This is not the case with other associations. Thank you for your time and Merry Christmas.
Thanks, PJ. Paul? I apologize. I'm not going to be able to do your last name. So.
That's okay. Paul Samella, 701 Front Street. In the town center. I'm just wondering why everything's been so lax for Lexington in the downtown area. It's been many years of neglect. I have friends who have houses in Celebration, and CROA jumps all over them if they have a dirty sidewalk. So I don't understand why we're being left hanging all the time. So that's really my big thing. And then also something when I was coming over here tonight, with the special events going on, the horse carriages and the train rides, why don't they have to stop for stop signs? Why does that whistle have to blow so loud on the train? When there's a concert down there, it's great. But every year, they keep turning up the volume. Inside my condo, I can't even hear the TV on full blast. So just a few things like that. Why are we being left behind? That's it.
Thank you. Jesse?
Jesse Opalka. I live at 603 Market Street,
Thank you.
Unit 230. I just want to tag on the end of Paul's discussion about the damage and the issues that we're having on Market Street. I'm sorry, on Market Street and Front Street, the town center condos. I brought some pictures of the kind of conditions, and we've all seen them. I just wanted to share just for informationally, but this is the building across the street with the tarps that they've, and it's also on Google Earth now and maps. And my roof has been causing problems. My stucco needs to be replaced. This is my building. Everybody's probably seen it. They have actual holes in the stucco of my building, and water has been pouring in for quite some time. And this is most recently, they covered over the area where you can't see it from the street, but it still leaks tremendously. But there's huge gaps and holes. I just wanted to share, and it's ruining the inside of my building, so I've had to move out and rent an apartment as well as pay my mortgage. So I just wanted to share the types of, hearing about it is one thing, but I think seeing the damage is a little bit more helpful. I can share it afterwards too. But I opened up the wall in the boys' room, and there's actually rot in the corner, so I'm worried about structural issues. It's all wood rot all the way to the stucco, back of the stucco from the inside. So that's what I'm dealing with right now. And that's about it. It's just informational, just to get the information out, because I don't think people understand it, because nothing seems to be happening. So thanks.
Thank you. Cookie? Cookie?
Cookie, you can have my other man in the house, too.
Okay, Cookie Kelly, 691 Front Street, Unit 210. I'm here basically because of the issue that's going on right now with the violation that's being cited by the Art Committee regarding the signage. And I'm sure that there are many valid reasons, and I'm sure they'll all be laid out for us, and I'm sure that Mr. Slayton has defined pretty precisely, the terms under which the potential fines are being levied. I just want to say, boy, I have never seen such an aggressive action. And I tend to read the ARC notices because I have, I'm interested in seeing how the process goes. In fact, I actually created a chart in comparison to Sonoa, which set out the timeline for triggering actions and the timelines for, defining hearing and this and that. And, generally, it's pretty lengthy. Nothing like Sonoa, because that's top-seeded. You can't beat Sonoa. But, so it just seems very aggressive to me. It also, having spoken to several realtor friends, seems that there's conversations regarding whether or not this is because it interferes with, like the business of selling real estate in Celebration, which I find horrifying because our buildings are falling down. And that is what is interfering with what the value of your property is in Celebration. The county appraiser just let us know, not on the record, but that the 30% lessening of values on Bloom Street would be continued because of the failure of Lexington to properly perform the repairs. So when we're worrying because this sign is put up, that is an actual notice of an actual county meeting that is citing an actual issue. I mean, I think we've lost our way. I think we have lost our way. And, we have the community-wide standard, which I just when I go to sleep at night, I just get community-wide. The standard to be applied of use, conduct, architecture, et cetera, et cetera. The thing is, this is not only on our town charter. This is in Sonoa. This is in CROA. This is in everything, including the shared use between Lexington and Town Center Condominium, and including the transfer from Disney to Lexington. The Sonoa documents are a deed restriction attached to the town center transfer. If we can't believe in these things, what is the point? What is the point? It has been years, and whatever we do, we are a tiny band, and we are expected to defend the entire town. Because you know what? Lexington will not care if that property slides into the lake. They will not care. They will have put themselves into a position where they have removed every possible penny, and then they will let it go. And until then, they're in there for the rent. Thank you.
Thank you, Cookie.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate the work you do. I know that being a quasi-volunteer myself, there's just not enough time in the day. And I know we live our life every day on this, and it's very unsettling, very unsettling.
Thank you. Laurel?
Hi there. Laurel Rousseau, 709 Bloom Street, number 230. And sort of echoing and building on Cookie's situation of maybe losing our way and what everybody is focusing on. And I did take some time, and thank you, Vanessa and Eric, for coming and seeing the building and discussing what things might not be on, Sonoa's list and what can maybe still keep happening. And I continue to find more things, each day. And even if you take Bloom Street out of it, there are many other buildings that, while broadly included obviously in our litigation, have not been started by Lexington. Therefore, have not had already alterations done that would fall under CNOA that needs to be addressed. So there's certainly CROA issues on all of our buildings, and I know it seems odd that we're here asking why you're enforcing so swiftly when we're saying please enforce, though we are questioning the sort of equitable nature of what we're now receiving because of a banner versus what others are receiving for other issues. I want to say one other thing, and under the scope of losing our way, as I said, I have spent, I sort of woke up out of the blue remembering when our walkway fell on Bloom Street, and I called 911. Actually, I first called Lexan. Lexan wouldn't respond. So I called 911. The fire department came. The fire inspector came. Randall Mells, I want to point him out because he's phenomenal. And he put the building under fire watch and required the construction company to come and rebuild our walkway because he said our fire rating left us 0 time to get out of the building and 0 time for a firefighter to get into the building. And as I remember, because I've come to learn many things way beyond what is my responsibility perhaps, or maybe if I wanted to do this job to a lesser degree, I started thinking about what Randall had pointed out, because I try to listen to every expert that comes to my, and I remembered.
Good evening. My name is Kevin Kirby. I'm the resident. I'm the owner over at 660 Celebration Avenue, Unit 210. I'd like to start off by thanking everybody here, really. It is something that we all know that it's unnoticed by most, it's underappreciated, it's definitely underpaid. But it's something that I want to make sure everybody understands for tonight, for every time forward, that my interactions are never to be taken personal whatsoever. Even though it's going to be very easy to. Ms. Winter, you might not recall this conversation. On the day that you took your current seat, we had a brief, informal conversation after the meeting regarding Town Center, how CROA intended to address it. You went on to share with me that legal counsel has advised the board to stay at a distance, to stay away, not to get involved. At that time, I didn't understand entirely, but I did respect your position both independently and as a board. As we all know, that the board that sits here today does shape the community for tomorrow. We know that. Fast forward to the most notable recent events, because we really don't have time and I don't have the energy to go ahead and do Town Center 101. So on Monday, I received a notice electronically from CROA. Imagine my excitement. CROA's finally getting involved. After the Osceola County Code Enforcement meeting that occurred the month prior in November, here I'm thinking that CROA cares that perhaps the council's advice that we discussed has said enough is enough. We're here to preserve and protect the value of celebration. I go ahead and I begin reading the CROA letterhead that states it's regarding 660 Celebration Avenue. Now, I know that you probably have seen this letter in the past, at least the format, if not the letter itself. But let me go ahead and just read this off for a second. Dear Kevin Kirby, a common goal of Celebration residents is to maintain the beauty and property values of Celebration. This requires time and hard work that is reflected in the community time and time again. One way to achieve this goal is to ensure that our established covenants and high standards of maintenance are continuously followed. We understand that many times residents are simply unaware that a problem exists, or invariably that one of life's other important obligations has had to come first. That creates a very temporary situation. With this in mind, this letter is a notice to remind you of one or more of the provisions of the community charter noted as a concern during a recent inspection. So I go ahead and I read this, and I say, this is awesome. Here's the part where my confusion begins to sink in. The notice isn't referring to the temporary support columns that have been on the ground in the rear floor of the building since November 2015, which was meant to support yet has notably become closer to the ground. Nor are they referring to the posts that have been added to the front of the building, 63 total posts altogether. You can see in this violation photo. Susanna, who signed the letter on behalf of the Board of Directors of CROA, didn't write this letter about the unpainted plywood covering hole in the underside of the balcony. In fact, there's several. Comments weren't added about the chipping ceiling paint, mismatched colors in the breezeway, lack of sign, painting of the past on time. You know, all these little things, never mind the fact that the building is falling down. Susanna didn't note about the weeds growing up, the rotted corners, the trash bag and the brown paper bag window coverings, unapproved signage, broken lighting, faulty stair rail, the railing on the balcony that is detached from the building, about the sagging support that's coming closer to the ground each day. Not at all. The community standards manager visited the site and wrote a letter which was in reference to 2 vinyl and possibly the only waterproof material in Town Center, hanging above Unit 110. Tuesday, yesterday comes and I decide to introduce myself to Susanna, and I apologize for this, it's very important. I approach her with the utmost respect as I do here today. I explain my position. I explain the same thing that I explained to you earlier. I do not come with personal attacks. We meet for about 15 minutes, maybe a bit more, to discuss the entire situation. I explain what I can about TCCA, Town Center Foundation, Lexington, CROA, Canoa, Osceola County. Susanna politely reiterates that she only represents CROA. So CROA has decided to get involved. Now, CROA, you each have been placed in quite the pickle. To be very honest, you stepped exactly where I wanted you to. Exactly where I wanted you to. You see, you've decided to pick and choose to separate your areas of concern, not only to preserve the value of all property and not for maintaining the beauty of celebration. You decided to get involved for all the wrong reasons. You see, the issues concerning and occurring within Town Center have been mostly masked, considering to the common eye. CROA, you decided to look past the blue and green tops that wave over the buildings on Market Street. You decided to ignore the missing stairwells on Campus Street, and you most definitely avoided driving yourself or any family or friends past Bloom Street. You've decided to focus on what matters most. 2 banners, 3 feet high, 8 feet wide. One which I found to be quite witty and encouraging a laugh that somebody instantly feels guilty afterwards. Snow isn't the only thing falling in celebration. Have you seen these balconies? That's when I came up with November of last year, over a year ago. I shouldn't feel that way leading up to it to develop that idea and then wait a year for no progress to change to still put that up there. Am I proud of this? Do you think that this is what I want to drive home to at night? To go ahead and pull up to my house and see this banner? Those posts, the 63 of them on my building, are not plumbed, some that swing, some that don't even touch the ground. The holes that are cut open by Lexington contractors back in April to confirm that the outer walls are rotted to a point that when they fall apart like mulch when they're touched, that's what I live in. They're covered by a construction-grade version of duct tape, which is now sagging because of all the water intrusion that has come in over the time. The second banner, which I didn't intend to have over that balcony, consists of excerpts from a notice of violation dated 11/28/2016 from Osceola County Code Enforcement. Some of you may be aware of this, however, Ms. Payne, the local representative of Lexington, took it upon herself to remove that public notice from the premise. I have a photo, and I will always provide evidence to anything I ever say. Regardless, the violation from Osceola County goes on to cite that the exterior of a structure shall be maintained in good repair, structurally sound and sanitary as to not pose a threat to the public health, safety, or welfare. It goes on to say, by allowing for the water intrusion at the roof, second floor balcony, second walkway mating line to the building, ground floor at grade, thereby causing rot and decay to the supporting structure at varying points as evidenced by visible damage to the exterior points of the building, including flooring, stucco, beams, soffit, walkways, balconies, and pillars. The violations exist on property located at 660 Celebration Ave. Let me note one key point, as evidenced by visible damage to the exterior points of the building. I suppose the banners were a distraction to the visual inspection that CROA completed earlier this week. Now, I've taken too much time already. I know that. It's horrible to be ignored. So I apologize. We pay $911.40 per unit, all 105 of us. If you believe that Celebration Avenue is a barrier that doesn't allow the termites in those buildings to go to Teal Avenue, you're missing the point. What happens in Town Center will come out that way. So after receiving that notice this week, I am formally accepting that olive branch that CROA has extended. I look forward to working together. Please correct me if I misinterpreted the correspondence that I received. Thank you.
Is there anybody else? That's all I have that is actually signed up. Please go ahead.
Robert Frame, 1409 Stickley Avenue, Artisan Park. I sent all of you a 2-page letter. You all got it. Just so the audience knows what we're talking about, last Friday night we had an incident at the Artisan Clubhouse holiday party where one of our servers, I don't know how Susan wants me to craft this, but one of our servers just started exhibiting erratic behavior and started punching people and just doing a lot of crazy stuff. I'll just leave it like that. The first 911 calls came in at 8:30 p.m. and they continued. We called 911 3 times, and long story short, it took them an hour and a half to come out. Now, Captain Fisher from the Osceola Sheriff's Office called me this afternoon and talked to me for 20 minutes. He said it was 2 hours, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. It was an hour and a half. He said it was 2 hours, but whatever. The sergeant on duty that night explained to me that they're really busy. They're going from call to call. In his words, he said, "Mr. Frame, it's like Fallujah out here because it's Friday night and we're hopping." My officers work 12-hour shift, and they go from call to call to call. We had on Friday night 3 armed robberies in progress, 1 burglary in progress, and 1 homicide. So your call got put to the bottom of the list. An hour and a half is too long. So my question here to the board is, do we have any input? I mean, I just moved here to Celebration, so I don't know. I'm not used to this. Where I come from, when we call 911, someone comes. So Captain Fisher from Osceola Sheriff's Office explained to me that is unacceptable, and he's going to do things to try to remedy that. But I don't think he's going to really change how personnel is dispersed. Someone mentioned our annual fee of $911.40. A portion of that goes to Officer Jerry, but as you all know, Officer Jerry's a human being with days off and does not work 24 hours a day. So on Friday night, he was not working.
Excuse me. Officer Jerry is not paid by his staff.
Who is he paid by?
CDD.
CDD, I'm sorry. Someone pays it. I know we as residents pay his annual salary collectively. Is that right?
Not through CROA.
Not through CROA, through CDD. Is that right? Yeah. So my question is, and educate me here, does CROA have any input? I mean, like verbally, could they make a recommendation, ask? I mean, are you all concerned about that? If you call 911, is someone going to come out because Friday night just happens to be a busy night? And Celebration, just so you know, is not assigned, according to the Osceola Sheriff's Office, they don't assign an officer to Celebration just because Officer Jerry is off. We fall within a zone. So an officer is assigned to this zone of Celebration. If there's no cause for service within Celebration, then there's no officer in Celebration, period, on a Friday night and on a Saturday night, which are the two busiest nights during the week, according to the sergeant from Osceola. So my question as residents is, do we have any say, any input?
Typically, we do not, as a board, this is your opportunity to speak. We typically do not engage and respond. I will say that we have turned it over to CDD, and we're going to continue progress in that end.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, public comments? Pat, please.
Good to see everybody. Want to wish you all happy holidays. Hope you enjoy the next couple of weeks. I wanted to...
Name and address. Name and address.
Oh, name and address.
Pat Watson, Vice President, CCMC. I'm not here as a homeowner tonight. Anyway, but I'll give you my address. 701 West Parkway, apartment 101. Sulridge Village. I wanted to bring something to the attention of the board and possibly give you something to think about. Although I don't get to attend all of your meetings since you changed some of the dates, I do watch them on YouTube. And I know that there is a lot of chatter, a lot of discussion on what CCMC makes on payroll, and that many of you are not happy with the current way it's being handled. I do want to remind the board that that a board of directors did adopt that contract, but with that said, that doesn't mean contracts can't be changed. And so I would like to, when I met with the board last, several months ago, and went through and tried to explain how all the billing was handled and everything, I had made an offer at that time that with the renegotiation down the road that we would, consider if that's what you want to do to go back. And that was a comment that I made in that meeting. What I would like to say to the board or recommend that you consider and possibly come back and chat with me about is there's no reason why you can't come back and talk to me now about doing it for the next 2 years. I believe that we would certainly be open to chatting with you about that and see where it goes from there. And that way it might be able to remove some of your frustrations and all of the wondering that goes on that subject. So I don't know if anybody has any questions on that or not. But I just thought I would bring that up and give you the option to certainly come back and chat with how we do that. And everything can be changed. So, thank you. Thank you. Happy holidays.
You too. Any other further public comment? Thank you. Can we verify that the meeting was properly noticed?
Yes, it was.
Verify quorum.
Yes.
Please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Who's second? I'm sorry. Tim, thank you. Motion to approve, all in favor, sorry.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, there was an A.
It's because you want to amend the agenda.
Nope. I want to amend the agenda, but it's very clear that no one wants that. So, nay. I'm not approving the agenda that we have tonight.
Okay.
Well,
Do you want to?
We've already voted.
We've already voted. Everybody was yes and one no, which is okay.
I'm not going to make a motion.
Do you want to add an item?
Nope, I'm not making a motion.
Okay.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, sorry. I already voted. Sorry. Go move on. Okay, so approval of the minutes. That was where I was at. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes for November 1st, November 10th, November 15th, and November 28th?
So moved. Second.
Motion from Tim, second from Jack. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Committee reports. ARC?
We have, everyone's dropping like flies. There's colds and flus going around like crazy, so I'm going to do the ARC update tonight. And it's very short. They wanted to make sure that we welcome Brian Halter to the Architecture Review Committee, and he attended his first meeting on Monday night. So they'll pick back up with the full report in January.
Covenants. Oh, any questions for ARC? Covenants?
Hello again, everybody. We have a short report tonight. Community Standards continues to conduct routine inspections of the community about every 6 weeks. In November, 1,360 inspections and re-inspections were conducted of single-family homes. 88 emails were sent for minor items and 64 letters sent for either major items or, in the case of 3 or more, minor items. There wasn't a covenants hearing this month. However, we did have a workshop last night, and I'd like to thank those of you from the board that were able to attend. Unfortunately, we did not have any members of the community there, which is kind of sad. At the workshop, the committee reviewed finding categories for noncompliance items. So what we're looking at is in 2017, items will be grouped together in general finding categories, such as all things related to landscape, painting, cleaning, repairs, architectural, and or miscellaneous. So in the past, if you had like 2 landscape things and 2 painting things, maybe that would be like 4 fines. Now it'll just be 2 things. So it's a very much of a streamlined procedure.
I like that.
This procedure provides for better consistency. And by the way, the next Covenants Committee meeting will be in February, and we encourage all residents of the community to show up and participate. A reminder to residents that the inspector is out in the community to help residents, so if you see her and have a question, be sure to stop and ask for her assistance. She keeps some reference materials in her nab that may be able to help you. As always, thank you to the residents for their continuous hard work in keeping celebration beautiful. We wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy New Year. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Mark. Any questions for Mark? Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you,
Mark. Special events?
I'm going to be doing the special events update also. On December 3rd, we held our annual holiday festival. It was a great turnout, and we had new this year. Instead of just putting snow out, we had an actual slide with snow blown on the slide, so residents got to enjoy snow tubing this year, which was really nice. That night we did a holiday movie. We showed Elf on the Great Lawn. And we had a wonderful wonderful turnout on both events, so they were great events and something to build on for next year. Another great holiday event coming up this concert, and it's at the Community Presbyterian Church, and that is free of charge, so there's no charge for residents. Father-Daughter Dance is one of our first events coming up in the new year, and that's going to be held on February 18th at the K-8 Gymnasium. Tickets are going to go on sale Wednesday, January 9th at 9 a.m. Make sure you write that down, Wednesday, January 9th. Those are hot items and they move very quickly. The points of purchase for those will be at Town Hall, and they'll also be available online this year. And then a link for online sales will be made available closer to that sales day. The next big event that we have is Posh Pooch on February 25th, so we're looking forward to that. And then our movie nights on the Great Lawn will resume again in March. And that is the special events update.
Where will Posh Pooch be held this year?
I believe the plans are still for Lakeside Park because it is a community, or it's a CCS event, so not just Celebration residents. But they do have the option of planning some stuff for at the dog park also.
Any other questions for special events? Recreation Task Force update.
David Anderson, representing the task force, which has been meeting for about 12 months.
Feels like 12 months.
Feels like 12 months. As a reminder, the focus of the task force has been on programs, not on facilities. Task force has been meeting at least monthly, our most recent meeting this week, and we have an initial draft of a report, very rough outline, a lot of holes to be filled, but a large part of the report is based on the community survey, where I think I reported on that last month or the month before, and very pleased with the results, and that's really helping to guide us. We're focusing on youth and adults. We're working on recommendations, and I've already put some together, talking about top quality programs, top quality services that can be promoted and built in the, developed in the community. We acknowledge that the community is growing and that space and facilities are limited. So we have built and have some recommendations that will be coming to the board in February for prioritization of which organizations or which groups get things first, like a specific field or a court. We know that the recommendations will be focusing on collaboration with other community entities, so it's not all just CROA, and focusing a lot on communication to the community. So upcoming events, beginning at the end, we know that the final report will be delivered to the board for review and voting by the February board meeting. Before that, there will be on February 13th a board workshop to which community members are invited to hear the recommendations of the board. Certainly the community is invited to our next committee meeting, which is January 9th. And then on January 23rd, youth sports. So 6 leaders of different youth, for 6 youth sports programs, the leaders are invited, and other community members are invited to talk about how their needs and issues can be accommodated. So just in summary, January 9th, next committee meeting, to take a look at our close to final report with recommendations included. January 23rd, youth sports. February 13th, CROA board workshop for really a final review of the recommendations and the entire report, and then the final report itself for the February CROA board meeting. And I know almost all of the board members have been at many meetings, some all, and I know you've been involved in through email and conversation. So I know the committee, and myself included, very much appreciates that involvement. So I think it's going to be a sound report and help guide us for the future. Questions at this point?
Questions? I just want to say great job.
I don't have the 50-page report in front of me right now. Draft.
Seeing great job.
It's coming. Thank you. All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Davey report. Thank you, Rick.
Good evening. My name is Rick Mansfield, the branch manager with Davey Tree. To my left is Roger Eccles. I've asked Roger to start joining me because Roger's been my right arm through all the transition. And based on that and his skills and the training we've been sending Roger to, I'd just like to announce that he, as of January 1st, is going to become part of our management team. And he'll be doing a lot of work for CROA to help me out too. And so I just wanted to reintroduce that to him and let you know the face that you may be talking to or hearing from. And if I'm unable to make it, then Roger will definitely be here. Okay, our focus for this week and for next week is to get ready for the holidays. We have a list of all the little odds and ends that we're trying to touch base with to make sure we're ready for the holidays. We only cut and mow the grass every other week in the wintertime. So we have used the time this week to touch up a lot of projects. Next week, we will have the Davy crews out mowing and trimming and doing everything we can for the holidays to make sure everything has a fresh cut and looks good for all the holidays. This week, we've also hired Signature Sod to come in and help put down some of the mulch that we wanted to have put down. I think they have a crew of 5 going around and doing that, while Davey is also pulling out any of the old mulch that needs to be put in at that time. Next week, I've hired a mulch company out of Tallahassee. They'll be here to finish all the other parts. So I know there's a little confusion on the list that I gave out. I did verify the stuff and send to Steve and to Todd just a little while ago. I apologize for any confusion on that. We've added 3 or 4 more parks that we think can go ahead and be changed to POCO this next week because we're getting ahead of our schedule on, I think we did 2 today that was not on the list until next week, and I think we'll probably get 2 more done, so we're going to add 3 or 4 more onto that list for next week to have all of it done. And so there will just be around 9 or 10 that will be done in the first part of next year. And some of those we're going to try to coordinate when there is some plant material change out going on and stuff like that. So that's when we'll make it all happen at one time. So we're not having to do work twice. The other thing that I would like to touch base on, I know in the report I mentioned about the trees and the canopies of the trees along the tree lines and with the CDD. I have noticed they are continuing to do some more trimming of the trees. I did have an opportunity to drive around this last week with Brian with the CDD and express my concerns of where they were at. He did share with me that he plans on making that a significant effort between now and which he has started to do, and also through the first couple months of the year to try to get that done. So I do appreciate that. We'll keep an eye on it, and if anything changes, I'll let you know. But at least we had an opportunity to talk to him and get some results on it going forward. Any questions?
Board, any questions for Rick?
I just want to say it looks, just so much better than it did 4 or 5 months ago. So the community really looks good. So I really appreciate all the hard work.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Rick.
Hi, Tim. How are you? I know his name.
So I guess the question that I have is a month ago I asked about the mulch because we had a lot of bare areas that were bare. I was told at that time that those areas we were waiting for the areas to deteriorate to the point that we would be able to switch it over to the different type of mulch instead of the pine bark to the cocoa brown.
Correct.
So I said, perfect, that's fine. Just let me know which parks those are. I still don't know which parks those are. That we've waited for that reason. I hate to say it, but there's a lot of reports in our cell service application that anyone can access. My grandma in North Carolina can get on there and look at the reports that we have in Celebration. And I would hope that as a vendor, there's a lot of members of the board that are very comfortable with the service level that you're providing right now. I'm still not. And I think I've made that pretty clear. Last month, the park directly in front of my home, across the street from my home as well, on the other side of the block, was marked as complete at 11:30 at night. It said it's been mulched. Davey said it's good to go, and I've been like, oh crap, did I miss them out there? Because, surprise, I work from home, so I would kind of notice someone out in front of my house. I go out there, no mulch, nothing, bare ground. So I've been curious, is this the area that we're waiting to switch over to cocoa brown mulch? Because this would be an easy one that all we would have had to say is, Eric, this park and all these other parks in Artisan Park, we're waiting to switch over to cocoa brown. And I would have then sat at this meeting and then said, we've waited long enough, there's nothing there. The 2 points that I would have is that the mulching schedule that was provided to me, it states during the week of December 19th, you're going to scan the passive parks for necessary touch-up mulching and replace mulch that scan indicates need to be changed now to cocoa brown mulch. In our landscaping contract, it doesn't state that this will be done on a semi-annually basis. It's an ongoing basis. If I, with a 16-month-old son in the back seat for his hour-and-a-half nap that he normally takes during the day, can hit almost every single park in this community and drive by and put eyes on it, I would hope that our landscaping vendor that's out there every single day doing this type of work could do the same thing. And I guess my fear is that I don't want to have to be the one that's bringing these things up all the time. That I've sat here for 3 months now, back to back, waiting very patiently for someone to put wood in front of my house. And it's not there. And the only reason why I started down this road is because it was in front of my house. So I went to everyone else's house and looked at all the other parks, and that's why I've looked at everything. And that's where it's just kind of snowballed in that I see this stuff. There was a report on cell service for plants that are missing in an area that I reported approximately 3 months ago that were killed because of an over-application of Roundup. Crap happens, okay, we killed the plants, we need to replace them. No big deal. It's still, fortunately, mulched, but there's no plants there. And originally I was told that, oh, that's Mexican petunia. I'm in marketing. I'm not a gardener. I went out to look. There is no plant physically there. So unless plant means mulch, I have no idea. So there's something missing there. I keep getting the update on different things. This is going to be handled in a month. This is going to be handled in a month. We're going to work on it. And I sit back at the board meeting, go through all these reports, and they're all still sitting there. And I know we've been playing a lot of catch-up, but we've been playing catch-up for about a year. And it gets back to my point of a curative date, of when we're going to get to the point that we're maintaining things rather than fixing things. And because there's still a lot of areas in the community that need to be fixed. And so I'm hoping that with this mulching schedule, I've seen there's been additional people out there, that we will get there within the first of the year. But I'm going to be brutally honest that my patience is gone for this now at the end of the year. And I have been told very explicitly certain things that I, as a CROA board member, have control over and can say. Guess what? This is one thing that I can say something about. And we really need to look at this. And I encourage you to use resources at your disposal, because I've been very patient, but I can be a real pain in the ass too. And very quickly encourage everyone to completely put this thing out to bid and get rid of it. And so I guess this is just my polite way of saying this is the last month that I'm waiting. And if I don't see resolution in the next month, in January, then that's when I'm going to make a recommendation that we move forward with not only replacing our landscaping contractor, but also bidding out the rest of the work that hasn't been completed, as it states in our landscaping contract that we can do, and bill it back to our current landscaping vendor. Thank you, Rick.
I appreciate that. Just so you know, we do have all those things on the list to do. That's what I was talking about, getting everything caught up. And also the mulching does have a list, and it will all be complete on time. So all your concerns, I hope, will be addressed after that period of time. That is what I would see the end of getting everything done.
And if I could reinforce, as we continue to see improvements, we see a lot of the parks with improved landscaping. A lot of them do have the mulch, but again, we still have more to go. And Todd met with Rick and with Mark, the vice president, last week, and I laid out pretty much the same expectations that you have tonight, that when we close out things in cell service that say they're completed, we have to make sure that they're completed. We need timelines for when we're going to get things done, and when we say we're going to do them, we have to do them. And then I also reinforce that moving forward into the new year, any work that's not completed within the scope, we're going to have to contract it out and just bill back. And I did let them both know that, so it reinforces what you're saying.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Financial report.
As of November 30th, we had operating cash of $2.3 million. We had accounts receivable was down $59,000 from October to $472,000. Our income for the month came in over budget by $19,900, which put us at $380,369. You have details in your variance report attached to the financial statements. Our working capital for the month was $20,900, which came in under budget by $3,600. Year to date, our working capital income is over budget by $30,700. Expenses totaled $467,000 and came in over budget by $81,000. All categories except on-site administrative, which is our trash contract, are over budget. Again, the details are in your financial variance report. Our reserve fund cash is $3.4 million, and capital improvement fund year-to-date is $794,777. And capital improvement income is really our amenity enhancement income. So, any questions?
You've trained her well, Leonard.
I've got just one quick one.
Inculcate.
I inculcated her, that's right. The intent to lien letters this month went way sky high. Is this a good time to talk about that?
We can talk about that.
What's your,
Well, I mean, if they are what they are, people either pay their assessments or don't. And we are running a little bit later than we normally do, but that was with the holiday, Thanksgiving holiday, and also with the letters going out at the beginning of November. So we sent the late notices out in the early part of November. It was probably closer to middle of November, so we're just now hitting the intent to lien status.
So how late were they compared to normal?
A couple of weeks.
Later
I was
than
looking
normal?
at Rachel. That's a business office. But it was about 2 weeks later than normal.
And it's how much per intent to lien to send it out?
Well, we have to send them by statute. We have to send them certified return receipt, and we have to send them by regular mail. And a certified letter, I think, is around $6. And the regular letter is the 49 cents plus the envelope plus the paper.
How many do we normally send out in a month?
We've had as many as, if we look at September, we've had higher numbers than that. So I want to say it's around $200 that we send out every quarter. Usually a little less than that. I can give you details if you'd like to see what we've done this year.
It just seems like a lot.
So we do send out up to 200 in a quarter. Okay, that just seemed like a large number, and maybe I missed it in a prior time.
Right.
I just wanted to.
It's going to be in your management reports. I'll be glad to research that. It's no big deal for me to research it and send it out to you so you can know what those numbers are. Because it does, but 200 of 4,321 residences is, what is it? It's pretty darn low, is right.
5%. Thank you.
Any other questions regarding the financial report? Management report, Steve.
Yes, we'll start with Comcast. On November 29th, management met with Comcast construction team, and Gary, our Spring Lake resident, was along with us. We also met with Brian Smith, the development district, primarily to discuss the placement of the vault boxes as we move forward into North Village, and to address the placement of the vault boxes in Spring Lake. And essentially what it came down to with Spring Lake is there's very limited real estate there for boxes to be placed. When they move into the North Village and future villages, they're going to look for alley space, identifying easements that already have vault boxes, any way that they can start placing them better. So one of the resolutions that Brian asked them to work towards is landscape buffering. They reached out to us last week for contact information from Davey and from Gerard. And I believe Tom Murphy with Gerard got back to them, and he's working on some drawings and prices with Comcast that he'll have back to them by the end of this week.
So Steve, just for clarity for everyone,
Yes.
Brian Smith is from
He's
CDD.
the development district
And just so that everyone is clear on where we're coming from with this, CDD is the one who grants the easement to Comcast for them to be able to place the boxes.
There's two layers there. Our contract, CROA's contract with Comcast allows us to approve future villages. After talking with Brian, the recommendation is going to be if we can't approve them, we're going to ask the development district not to grant the easements. If we can't come to a determination on where those are going to go.
But I thought the easements have already been granted.
For North Village they have, and for Spring Lake they have,
right.
for nothing moving forward.
Okay.
But Brian was great working with him to talk about, he found some areas that they didn't think about. They walked the areas together, and Brian's committed to walking all the areas with them moving forward. And we're going to both put our stamp of approval on construction plans for future villages. So one of the things that we did tell them, though, is that we were not interested in them moving forward in North Village until they repaired all the damage and returned Spring Lake to existing conditions before the boxes. So they're working on that, and they're supposed to be done by the end of this week. The on-site supervisor is meeting with the contractor tomorrow to walk through before they bring me out for the final walkthrough. So moving forward in North Village, we are waiting on the drawings. They did do some modifications, and I believe next week on Tuesday we're going to be meeting. We're trying to get Brian back together to meet so that we can give approval for those. And along with those drawings, they're going to have some landscape bufferings for North Village also.
Are they able to do landscape buffering in Spring Lake?
They are. That's part of what we asked also.
Just because I know where some of those boxes have been placed, it takes up the width of the easement.
Right, and I know we did receive pictures, and there were a lot of residents asking about them, and I think you didn't really notice the smart city boxes until the Comcast boxes were there too, but as we're walking through, there's quite a few smart city boxes there. Mm-hmm. It's tough to do subterranean there because there's a very high water table, and they say that they don't have the technology, or there's not the structured compartments to hold this equipment without it being damaged with the water table as high as it is. So we continue to work closely with Comcast to try and get the drawings approved.
And just the other thing too, and I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but it appears that Comcast is deploying a active optical network rather than Smart City's passive optical network, which means that Comcast requires power, which means that they need to have additional infrastructure in order to be able to support that. So that's probably where we're seeing some of the additional boxes.
It is, and that's the additional line that was just put in this week.
Right.
And that's part of the placement because those are bigger. They're just naturally going to be a bigger box. So Brian is working with them to identify some of the better places for this.
Steve, about how many houses are served by a vault box?
Well, a power box, it's about 258, I believe. So Spring Lake has 261, so they're just short, so they had to put two in.
Okay.
To cover both
And
sides.
the individual.
What about the individual boxes?
Well, they come in 4, 6, and 8, I believe, and they look for every opportunity to do 8. They do have in North Village where some of the houses are spread apart a little bit more, to where they're going to have to do 4s because they can't run the lines.
In North Village, you have alleys you can deal with. What about
Not over in Acadia's is where he's talking.
Acadia's is probably where you'll see more of the
What about
4s.
Spring Park Loop or something like that?
Haven't gotten that far
Yeah,
yet.
once we get there, that'll definitely be part of that conversation. They have committed to going the biggest they can for serving the homes to the 8s wherever they can so that they can minimize the number of boxes. It's just, when you look at the construction and design and where the houses fall and where they can place the boxes, there's a science behind it that they're
Will
using.
these boxes be placed in the easement?
They're all in easements, except for there's a few CROA easements that we granted easement access to when we signed the contract.
Yep.
The next item is dog park. The dog park is getting very exciting because it's actually starting to look very much like a park. I don't know if you have been out there recently, but fencing, perimeter fencing for the chain link has gone up, and the gravel is all going down. By the end of this week, I believe the ornamental fencing will go up and landscaping will start going in next week. So we still are on track by the end of this month to have all the landscaping in. It's going to take some time, depending on the weather, especially for the landscaping to really take and let that sod take. But it is looking and shaping up to be a beautiful park.
The only comment that I wanted to say about the dog park is if you could pass on to McCree so they could pass on to All Terrain, who's doing the grading over there. It is possibly the cleanest job site I have ever seen in a long time. They have done a very good job of, I mean, once again, on my hour-and-a-half drive that I take out daily, literally there's no trash, there's things put in neat piles, they're stacked up appropriately. It's very, very clean, so I would commend them on that.
Yep, and we will, and they've been very professional to work with, and Jim Parker and TCC were instrumental in that because they were very specific on making sure that they were keeping that area clean as they built. So. The next item is the athletic fields. We have a joint, actually it's a CDD workshop next Monday that CROA has been invited to. I will be attending, I believe Vanessa is attending also, and we will be talking to the Development District and requesting the expansion of the Civic Corridor Road to the athletic fields. I sent them some statistics from our needs assessment for the needs of additional athletic fields. There's also a lot of good data that we've pulled now from the overall rich data that talks about the importance of biking in this community, the importance of walking in this community, and the importance of running in this community. So we believe that there's great opportunities for some partnerships and working together with the Development District to add some more sidewalks and possible trail connection to North Village. So we'll be talking to them about that next week.
Steve, on the road, how are we proposing that for CDD? I mean, what's the financial breakdown?
None of that logistics has been discussed yet. The CDD, from what we understand, has the ability to assess property owners. We own a good portion of that property, probably very similar to the amount of size that we own leading up to the Development District building. So it's probably going to be a very similar road payment for us. But there is golf course property there also that could be assessed as part of that.
I think someone's tried to reach out to the golf course. Has anybody spoken?
We have
with them?
not gotten a response from the golf course.
Okay. Okay. And then they can't build a road, they can't tax unless it's open, the fields would be open to the public, is that correct?
That's not necessarily the way that I understand it. I believe that if they make a trailhead there, that's an option for them to where people could park and access the trail, input trail amenities through there. So that road would then get you to that access to that trail.
So for the trail, because the trail would be public?
So the trail would, all the trail system in Celebration.
Part of our regulars.
Yeah, part of the regular trail system.
And then bottom line is you can't get back there without a road. You need a road to be able to access those athletic fields.
Right.
Any other questions regarding the dog park?
No, it just said that it's planning on a February opening.
We'd love to do a February opening, and we're looking, I'm just throwing it out there as a possible date, February 11th, which is a Saturday. But there's a possibility we could do it earlier. We're going to start working, I'm going to ask the Special Events Committee and JR to start thinking about, and they already have, they have all kinds of creative, wonderful ideas, but start thinking about locking down a date and then being able to advertise it to the community.
Thank you.
And
may I ask a question real quick on the dog park? You might have already covered this. As far as registering your dogs and such.
No, I didn't cover. Thank you for bringing that up. We are sending out before Christmas the Friday Flash, and then it will be, I believe, in the January paper, the registration information to sign up your dogs.
So you can get that up and going and find out the bugs before it actually opens.
Yes. Yeah. So we'll start getting those registrations.
Thank you.
And the key, the one quick question, the key card, is that still going to, have you had a problem at all? I know there was some challenges. Are we able to?
We have a
use
little
this?
hiccup, which is probably going to require us to have a separate card for dogs just because of their vaccination dates and what the current key card system will allow us to do. But we're also looking at options because I believe in our reserve study for 2017.
We are reserved for
there's
enhancements.
money for
to
a key
that
card
system.
enhancement. So if we can find something that
Technology, boo.
will actually
The one
help us.
damn thing that no one mentioned at the reserve study, and I bring it up.
Yeah, hopefully it'll help us meet those needs that we're looking for. The next item that I want to talk about is Celebration Sanitation will be delivering 2 additional dumpsters December 23rd through January 2nd. One of them will be here at the 851 building. The other one will be at Spring Park, and those at Heritage Hall. Those are for holiday boxes only, and we'll be advertising. I think we already have started putting this in the Friday Flash. It's for large boxes so that residents don't put their new TVs and advertise to the entire community what they got for Christmas or for the holidays.
No beds?
It will not be for beds. It will not be for styrofoam. It will
Cardboard.
only be for cardboard boxes.
Corrugated,
Best
right.
laid plans.
Not
of mice and
chipboard.
men.
I know, but we put signs up on it last year, and we hope the community responded very well. It's actually gone 2 years now, so we're hoping for the same response this year. And then the last item.
Steve, are we paying for those dumpsters?
I believe that those are additional. I have to talk to Ken
Okay.
about it, but I believe that over the last 2 years he gave those to us.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that he has, and I'm pretty sure that he will likely do it
I
again.
made that assumption.
Yeah.
I probably should have asked.
The only thing that I would ask is that in exchange for that, the previous signage that we've placed for those has been very mechanical type signage. If we're making the effort to print a sign, I think we should at least give Ken a nod to say thank you to Celebration Sanitation that they did donate that for us, because it's not only taking dumpsters out of his cycle, but it's also a tip fee, that he has for the tipping fee at the dump.
Good idea.
Actually, it's less expensive.
The last item that I want to address with the board for the management report is I want to give you a quick update on the Kanoa-Lexon arbitration. Started as Kanoa-Lexon mediation. We went to mediation and a settlement agreement was not reached. So at the last Kanoa meeting, the Kanoa board voted to terminate mediation and they voted to proceed to arbitration. So that's the next step in the process that legally you have to go through. A lot of the aesthetic items that we heard tonight from the homeowners are being addressed in the Kanoa arbitration. I went out last week and did an update and took new pictures and added them all to the arbitration files. So that is proceeding as we move forward.
Have they actually began arbitration, chosen the arbitrators?
The deadline for everything to be turned in was Wednesday. We have submitted who we are okay with as arbitrators. I don't believe we have the actual arbitrators selected.
And when you say we, you're referring to
Kanoa.
Kanoa, yes.
Just make that clear.
Yeah, sorry, Kanoa. Yes.
Both sides choose arbitrators,
Yeah.
and then
they're,
that's it.
Okay. The other item is I've reached out to Jim Parker with the Celebration Company and asked him to do a walkthrough with me of the 709 Bloom. There's a lot of items out there that we believe if it was a single-family home that went through the ARC process to request the new construction, we would be doing inspections and they wouldn't pass most likely. So I have asked him to walk through with me and for us to take a look at it. And, we will get back with a report through Kanoa for that.
So I have a couple of questions. So I know that there are some areas of visual aesthetic that when we look at the building, and that's what CROA obviously is looking at, is visual appearance. So my house could be vacant on the inside of my single-family home, ripped down to the studs, and as long as it looked nice outside, I'm good to go, with white or neutral tone blinds that are covering that. My question, though, is that when we're looking at these pieces, it's somewhat hard for me to figure out through all of the legalese and everything that's been explained to us. There's one item that I can figure out that's the only thing. I'm not, once again, As Leonard likes for me to always say, I'm not a very smart man. It's a very dumb question. But one of the things that the lawyers stated that was a CROA item that we would be citing upon was dryer vent louvers. Is a thing that is CROA's responsibility, that is ours. Having witnessed the dryer vent louvers, that is the only thing that's pretty much called out as one single item in any of the legal response that I've received. You wouldn't approve that louver on my single-family home. It needs to be replaced or repaired. You can't repair it. You need to replace it. I know the question was raised on whether or not we, as CROA, can go back and look at the building while it is under arbitration or mediation or whatever the heck it is now. But the problem that I have is sitting on the CROA board, that doesn't matter, is my concern. And I know that we've been asked to stay out of it. We've been asked to keep a distance from it. So I guess my respectful question is, if I want to start the conversation, is that are we going to cite the dryer vent louvers on Bloom Street? Because they are currently needing to be cited. So we cited a banner that was hanging, but I can very clearly see that the dryer vent louvers need to be replaced. So if we're doing an inspection of the building, I get that CROA is doing their own inspections and that there may be some overlap between the actual personnel that does that, but at the end of the day, if CROA is inspecting, and I'm sorry to keep repeating the damn dryer vent louver, but it's the only thing that I have that I know that is exactly within our scope of responsibility that the lawyer said was, we need to inspect for that, just like a single-family home. And if there's a risk in us citing that while the building is under arbitration, then that's something that we need to come from the lawyer for them to be able to tell us. Because as I see it, just because an entity, if I had a single-family home and I'm suing a contractor for doing crappy work on my house, that doesn't stop CROA from coming in and citing me for the crappy look. It's the same process here, in my opinion, until someone can explain it to me otherwise. And so far, no one has been able to explain it to me otherwise. And I know that it gets a little confusing sometimes because we have the same management company that works for both CROA and for CROA, but I look at it as two separate things. So let's say we had Eric Opegard's management company that's working on the CROA side, and I have my own inspector that goes out and looks at things. My thought process is independent from anything else that's going on. And so that's where I think that I get confused when we get some of the legal responses back that state that we can't look at things, because just because someone is going through litigation doesn't mean that the rest of our inspection process stops. So I know.
Can I ask a question, Eric? You said the lawyer gave you the legal opinion that the dryer vent louvers, of all things?
That was in our opinion.
Yep, it's in the legal opinion. It's the only
I gotta say, that's nonsense.
If there's one item,
It's
I'm not a lawyer. I read it on the
wrote
paper.
to you, though,
There's actually more.
the general owner of the building should be responsible for all those individual items. Okay, as far as maintenance of the item, yes, that's a homeowner, but that should go straight to the owner of the building.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with that at all. I'm Steve. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I understand. This is the one that you just received.
Yeah.
So I believe that's an example that they were using, but I'll try and answer the question. There was a couple questions in there, but
I don't want you to get in trouble for practicing law without a license. We had that discussion last meeting.
I am going to say right now that I am not a lawyer and that I am not practicing law by interpreting the documents, but we did ask the attorneys to verify the interpretation of it, and we went through the governing documents for the condo association, and we looked at the governing documents for CROA, and we put together a matrix, and we sent it to the attorney. We asked for verification on this. So this does give us somewhat of a guideline for being able to determine where do we go for these certain things. When it comes to maintenance, repair, replacement of component facilities, the building exterior, the walls, roof, landscaping, that's all stuff that CROA is working with Covenants and ARC. When it comes to, and there's a few different things, but second floor up, stairwells, breezeways, color material changes, mailboxes, cleanliness, maintenance, limited common elements, dry vents, balconies used for storage. These types of things fall underneath the individual owner's responsibility in the Town Center Condo Association. So I think that's the difference. CROA doesn't send...
Dryer vents, maintenance, I agree with it. But the building is presented to them, and the building is for standardization, you have one person responsible for putting all the different vents in.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
all these people are doing is being responsible for maintaining it. I'm not sure your lawyer, if you understand anything about construction or anything like that, but we need to go back to
I don't think that that's the opinion that they're giving. So
Jack,
when it comes to...
I agree with that opinion 100%. It is the owner's responsibility for that.
When it's turned over.
For that louver and the cleaning of that duct all the way back to the dryer.
But if we're talking...
The individual is responsible for cleaning it.
The unit owner.
But the installation of a new duct.
No. I don't want to even get into the construction portion. I'm only talking about
that.
No, we're talking about literally the piece of plastic that sits on the outside of the house.
Yeah.
That's it. Because I
But
can't.
specifically on Bloom.
Correct,
Bloom.
yeah.
Well, they're all the same.
And all indication that we have at this point is it's not completed. They have not turned anything to us. They have not said we're done. It's still, the building's still part of our overall list for arbitration.
I saw a few raises of the head out in the audience. Is the matrix you have there available to any homeowner that would request
I
it?
can certainly make that available.
It's not illegal. It's not a legal work paper. It's available to any homeowner that would request it.
It's a tool that we use to try and determine.
So I think
I think Eric actually sent it to them, to Laurel when we...
No, I just sent it to the board.
Oh, I thought you did when you guys originally met a year or so ago. Okay.
No. So the question
Well, Eric, my question is, are they putting new dryer vents on the building? Or are they putting the old ones up?
the old ones have been painted, which means they're now no longer functional. Now, as horrible as this states, as CROA, as ARC, I can have a non-functional dryer vent on my house. CROA doesn't care, as long as it looks okay. But the problem is that these don't look okay, because they're literally missing slats and stuff. Well, yeah, and I agree, but if it comes down to that, then the unit owner is under, that's a CROA citation.
It actually stems from the association itself. The association is the one that needs to be initiating the initial covenants violation.
And who does the...
I'm talking about Town Center.
Right, and so, but Town Center then sits under CROA.
If they do not act, then CROA would act.
Town Center doesn't.
Town Center sits under
CANOA.
CANOA.
So the legal opinion then is incorrect.
Well, the condos, when it comes to the individual responsibilities, we would send it to the individual owner in the condo association.
Let's remove,
Exactly.
let me.
Eric, can I just, on the other items, there was actually more than the vent louvers that was under CROA?
Sure.
That was the only one you thought?
Nope, that's the one that I called out, because that's the only one that I could understand.
Okay.
The big difference is, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, my understanding is the drip edge on the door would be under CROA. The porch lighting would be under CROA. The laundry vent louvers were CROA. The gutters and downspouts was CANOA, foundation CANOA. And the concrete curbing, CROA. So, I mean, I think it's...
The only piece, though, so the only thing that I was literally going off of was the legal opinion that we got, and the only thing that it could specifically state in there, because I could classify all of those as, is that part of the porch? Is that part of the exterior of the building? Is that part of the interior of the building, or is that part of the exterior, or what, what's what? So the only thing that I could clearly figure out, and that's why I focused on this stupid dryer vents, which is probably the most minor thing out there, but it's the one thing that I could see on the paperwork. So I want to try a different experiment. We just painted, wherever. Where did we? No, we just put a roof on. Where did we put the? What's
Campus.
On Campus Street?
Campus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who is responsible for the door hardware as a Campus Street homeowner?
I think the biggest difference, those are surface areas, so that's a major concern. But the biggest difference, I think, if we're going to go apples to apples, condos to condos.
No, I'm going a different direction. So who is responsible for the door hardware? Homeowner
It's a
is,
homeowner.
correct? Okay. So we hire, I forget who we hired for the roofing project. Let's say Eric's Roofing came out there, and Eric's Roofing is a crappy roofing company that came out, and I backed into someone's door hardware and we broke it, and it was bad door hardware at that point in time. It's the responsibility then of who to repair that? Is it the responsibility of the homeowner, or is it the responsibility of the vendor who was doing the work when they turned the building back over? I understand that I'm oversimplifying the situation as it compares to town center. However, it's a similar situation if we're going to state that the building has not been turned back over to CROA in order for inspection. So if there's work still going on the building, and they're trying to figure out what's what and everything, and Teresa hasn't been back out there from a CROA inspection side, and we're not doing anything from a CROA inspection side for these pieces, then we need to figure out when the building is then turned over so that we can then do a date to then come back in and have CROA, as the homeowners association, do that inspection.
That was my comment.
Yeah.
My meeting with Steve was, make sure we don't want to accept those buildings, which is why he's now doing the walkthrough with Jim Parker and with TCC to make sure that indeed, prior to it being turned back over to the individual owners where we're under purvey, that we don't walk into a big mess.
And I don't know that we're ever going to have the option to accept any completed construction. I mean, I think Jim's going to walk through from a TCC, ARC standpoint, but along that line, that would, if we were to start giving individual homeowners violations for dryer vents on a building that they're not doing the construction on, it just doesn't line up. I mean, they're at the mercy right now of that construction and being completed.
Correct.
So I think that would be the reason why we wouldn't be violating anything to the individual homeowner. They don't really have a say in it right now.
That's really no different than any other extenuating circumstance that the covenants committee would.
Sure, they grant an extension on it. They would, yeah.
Or even
Or just dismiss
even when
it,
we were
yeah.
doing the roofing, if you want to go back to that example, remember the landscaping around that was a disaster. We were waiting until the roofing got complete before we did anything with the landscaping. So I think
Sure.
it falls in the same purview.
And so I think that to my point is, I understand that while this board as CROA doesn't have a seat at the table because we're not involved in that, we do need to understand when that building is done and what that date is going to be, so that we can then figure out when we can come back in and do that inspection from the CROA side. And I want to be very clear about that, because we have the same person right now is doing the inspections, but if Kanoa had a different management company, there'd be two completely independent people out there doing the inspection. And I think that's the part that I struggle with, that I get very confused with.
But I just want to be clear, we are not inspecting the quality of the construction at 709 Bloom yet. We are going through and inspecting from a Kanoa standpoint the aesthetics of downtown and the downtown buildings. And there's a big section for 709 Bloom, because it was in violation before. So as far as we're concerned, it's not done yet. We're going to continue pursuing until someone says, yes, we're done, and then we'll look at whether or not it becomes CROA or if it stays on Canoa,
And
or
that's
if it's part of
Jim's
a new
job,
list.
is to make sure that downtown is TCC compliant.
Because Jim's doing the inspection from the Canoa side, correct?
He's going to be looking at it from Canoa.
Okay.
When we look at the
legal side of it.
Right, yeah.
When we look at the 660 building and we have the fire code issue, I realize that's county, but we've never had that issue, I believe, with any of the 21 buildings downtown. Is there any other support we could provide?
I will be attending
The hearing on the
code
21st.
enforcement hearing on the 21st, so I can gather information, hear what the county's saying. I can report back to both boards.
So that's December 21st at 4 o'clock, right?
And I will say that that the building's on the Canoa list also. In the wood that's out there, aesthetically, it wouldn't pass the covenants. It doesn't meet community standards. It needs to be fixed, but we can't tell them to take it down and let the balconies fall into the streets. So it is part of that legal process.
And then, so we're not going to be doing any fining because it's in binding arbitration, right?
The CROA board has no authority to fine for Canoa.
Or, I mean, not fine, but to send any letters for violation.
I would not recommend sending letters to 709 Bloom because
No,
it would be
no.
going to the individual
It's under
homeowners that
construction.
have no.
No, I'm just saying that we wouldn't, even if it wasn't under construction, we would not,
I'm not sure I understand.
because it's an arbitration,
Yeah.
right?
Debbie,
Yeah.
you got to realize that this is a completely different tiger than any other
Oh, I know.
condo you'll ever see.
I know, and that's why
Very little of
we're
that
trying to-
building is CROA responsible. It's mostly all Canoa.
well, not, I mean, there's actually some areas that are CROA, some of the stairwell areas.
Very little.
Right.
Dryer.
But I think it's important, just to try to explain why we're not.
Actually, the louvers specifically.
And Vanessa, that's the end of my management report.
Thank you. Any other questions for Steve before we move on?
Thank you.
Any other questions for Steve before we move on?
I'll make one comment, and I just wanted to thank management for putting up with me being a pain in the ass about both this as well as with mulching. And I wanted to thank the board for putting up with me. Residents elected me, you guys didn't, so you're kind of stuck with me for now.
Well, technically, we're residents, too.
Doesn't mean you had to vote for me.
We really like Owen, so as long as you're good, he's good with you, we're good.
And I have good news for everyone. I term out in a year. So
Okay. So we're ready to move on to action items. Tab 1. Discussion, formation of a task force to review management contract and explore options upon expiration for 12/31/18. Do we have a motion to discuss?
So moved.
Motion from Eric. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from, is that Paul? I'm sorry,
Yes.
second from Paul. Thank you. Discussion.
I think, I'll echo a lot of the comments that we've exchanged via email. The discussion regarding the management contract is not to be a reflection upon the current staff or the current level of service that we're experiencing. I mean, I think the biggest thing for me is that we have about the same amount of staff that we have and a lot more community and a lot more events than when we started this process a long time ago. We have a whole other village that came online. We have the potential for another complete village coming online that we've had to deal with throughout this whole process. And we've thrown a lot of stuff that is not typical of a homeowners association at you guys. And you guys have done a very good job at managing that. I think what I would like to see personally out of the task force more than anything is just basic due diligence. We've had the contract for a certain period of time now. And just to have a different set of eyes than us even, which we've been in the contract a lot, to take a look at it, to understand, as Pat mentioned earlier, would it make sense for us to renegotiate the contract? Would it make sense for us to go to a flat fee? All these different little minutia things that, takes a long time for someone to go through. These would be the portions that I would really want for a task force to be able to look at. And I think the only thing, though, and myself included, that we would need to be comfortable with, not only as the current board and then whoever gets elected in the future on this, is that we may end up in the exact place of the task force coming back and recommending no change. And we just need to be, I think, willing to accept that, too.
I would like to accept Pat's invitation to meet and discuss the change to a percentage basis versus what we have right now. Just a workshop.
Because it was not continued, it was just now to the balance of the contract without having to extend it, which was part of the challenge, I think, that some had with doing it, was there was a concern that there was going to be an actual renegotiation at that time. So
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to Eric. I mean, that's pretty much, what we're looking at is that I don't believe that we've really taken a comprehensive look at the contract for over 10 years, and I think it's really our fiduciary responsibility to do that. This is the biggest contract that we have, to me, I would think we need to look at three things. Basically, is look at, well, first understand what the contract is, and how much we're paying and how we're paying it. Is it competitive? So that's the first thing, is just understand what we've got, because it is complicated. There are a lot of different pieces to it, and I'm not sure that previous boards have fully understood it. The second part, to me, the most important part, is to really to take a look at what are all the options. I mean, and what are the pluses and minuses to all those options. And there are a variety of, there's a lot of different ways we could go. We could go to self-management. We could go to, continuous management. There are probably a ton that we haven't even looked at, but to look at what are the variety of options that and what are the pluses and minuses of those options. And the final part would be to, if we do stay with a management contract with a management company, is that then to kind of define the terms of that contract and to make sure that they're aligned with what the interests are of the community. So we would define that and then, approach a management company or a bid or whatever and say, this is the kind of, these are the terms of the contract that we're looking for. And I agree with Eric. I mean, this really has, nothing to do with the quality of the staff and the staff. And obviously, we're still going to need, all those jobs are going to still be out there. And, for me, I'd just assume everybody that's here continue to do those jobs. So this strictly is the issue of the contract itself with and the terms of it and all that. So I think definitely, since we haven't done it in quite a while, we really need to do that.
So, Jack, are you proposing that we would have a meeting with a representative of CCMC prior to the formation of the task force, or would you want to do this simultaneously?
There's two separate things.
Okay.
If we can save money, let's save money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sooner the better.
I don't think it would necessarily save money, but I think it will at least provide more definition. We know, I think it's kind of open-ended now in terms of what Pat's talking about. So we'll give more definition. So that certainly doesn't hurt. But yeah, I think it should go at the same time. No reason we can't do both at the same time, I don't think.
So can we get with Pat and find out if there's a date available for her?
Do we need a motion for that?
I would move that we meet with Pat and try and determine whether the feasibility of changing the contract for the remainder of the contract.
I will second that motion.
Further discussion?
I have discussion. Does this fall under discussion of personnel or legal matter?
Neither.
Okay. To set a date?
I think this is just a discussion.
Say neither,
I don't think it's executive session discussion. I think it can be open.
That was all my concern. I just want to make it so that it could be open if people wanted to attend to hear what folks
Yeah, I think I think it's important too to recognize. I mean, Pat did go through in painstaking detail at one point in time in a closed session, so that everybody knew exactly where all of the different allocations were going to. So
that was kind of my point for maybe this would prevent her from having to do it again.
Exactly. We've already done it. We don't need to repeat it. So,
and so then that way it's out in the open.
Correct, and I don't, is that the intent of does anybody have an intent of doing that?
No, I don't think so. And even if we did, we could always move for executive session at that time. I've had experience with that. So.
Surprise. Okay. So we have a motion, second, and we've just discussed. Do we want to, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
About the task force piece, though, I would still like us to move forward with that as well. But I know that we need to figure out resolution and all that pieces, those parts as well. So I don't exactly know how to formulate a motion for us to move forward with that.
Well, here's how about we can just continue our discussion though.
Okay.
We're still in discussion mode, even though we made the motion. We're still in discussion mode.
Sure.
So here's a couple different thoughts. First, we had discussed in the resolution. We pulled up, if you remember, the task force, the education task force, and Eric, you went through and actually did a mirror based upon some feedback we'd received. Some things that I think we can do tonight, if we want to, is at least vote on how we want to comprise our committee. We can vote on some of the different things, but we have. I think as far as a deadline for setting this up, which is what I said in my email, is I think February. Elections go in March, so I think we want to make sure that we have everything set as a hard deadline. With having a resolution and having our committee members and everything all set would be February. Is that, what is everybody's thoughts on that?
That's fine.
Yeah, I agree.
Is that reasonable?
Yeah.
We're shooting for January before, I don't know, do we?
Well, we still can, but I think we just, as a hard end date,
deadline,
I think we
February.
need to make sure we have everything hard end date, have everything completed and voted on no later than the February meeting.
Okay, yeah.
I think ideally, next month would be good, but for the sake of making sure we get through our evening and we can continue our conversation if you want to. If we want to come up with how we want to set up our committee, we can do that. Or we can end our discussion and move on to the next one. So however you guys want to do it.
I think maybe we should add an additional workshop before our January meeting. We have a regular workshop that I believe we already have a subject for, but have a special, or an additional workshop for this particular item.
Well, here's one thing. Here's one thing we can do if you would like to do that is on January. Steve and I were talking. In January, we're going to have an attorney. If you recall, we're going to go through all of our legal issues with the attorney in our January workshop.
Items, they're not issues.
Sorry, items. You're right. They're not issues. They are items. So we were talking about doing those items in January. Tom Slayton, our attorney, is not available on the night that we currently have scheduled for our workshop. We can then move and have our workshop that we have currently scheduled. We can do that night. We can do as
A regular workshop.
a regular workshop,
That's interesting.
and then schedule another night to have Tom Slayton come in.
Did he give you availability?
He didn't. We were going to actually, my plan was to send an email rather than getting it all convoluted, was to send out an email tomorrow.
This
but
would be the part executive session.
This would be
and
the
then-
executive session.
And then part open workshop as a possibility.
No, it would be two, and then we need another night just for executive session for all of the legal issues that we wanted to work through.
You could keep your 16th date as your workshop, and then he's not available on the 16th, so you have to pick another day.
No, I understand that, but why not, if he's available at 6 o'clock on a Tuesday, let's say, why not come in and start a regular workshop a little bit earlier, work through some stuff, then convene it into the executive session with the attorney.
We can do that too. My concern was that if availability for everybody. I know that my hope is that everybody has our workshop date already all blocked off on your calendar, and we can kind of get through some meat and potatoes on that one. And then if for some reason, at least for an executive session, it's easier to call in on those types of things if you have to.
No, I understand that, but
Okay.
but we only need him to answer certain questions.
Right.
Once we have those questions answered, then we need to go forward with the rest of our discussions, and I want to make sure we have plenty of time to discuss those things in the public eye.
I see what you're saying. Okay, so you still want to have our regular workshop for this on that 16th that we have currently scheduled. Is that what you're saying, or you're talking about
at an earlier
canceling
date.
it?
No, well, Was the 16th, was that the only thing on our regular workshop?
Board of Appeals that night.
Right, a Board of Appeals, but that was, we just had the executive session was what we had planned to go through all those to go through the legal items.
Okay, so we, basically as it's scheduled right now, we have an hour and a half before that Board of Appeals meeting.
Correct.
And I'm thinking that when we all start throwing out ideas, that we're gonna need about 3 hours to throw all this together.
Oh, no.
And I'm talking about, and that's why I'm trying to divide it into 2 sessions.
Just slash my wrist.
3 hours for anything.
Please, no. I love you to death, Leonard. 3 hours for that.
I've spoken 30 minutes.
I know you have. But I also, in a workshop, I don't know that we need to do that. Hopefully, we can accomplish
That's
most
why
of it through email.
That's why I'm suggesting we don't go a 3-hour workshop. We have a 1.5 hour for the executive session day, and then
night.
the 1.5 before the appeals meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so you want a different night for executive session?
We need another night
Okay.
for executive
Okay.
session, and we can go ahead and schedule something before that. Is that what you're saying then? Do the executive session like at 6:30, but have us meet earlier, or switch it the other way?
It depends on what legal questions we have, I guess.
Okay, well, why don't we plan on trying to have Tom Slayton first, and then we can stay later to
Figure out when
work out
he's
other
available.
stuff.
Can I ask you this, would it be appropriate if I was just to ask Tom, any day the 17th to the 20th, are you available?
Makes
The
sense.
19th would be better, too. But we
17th.
can ask him what he has available those 3 days. And
17th to the 20th, I will be in town, and I don't have anything on. Is everybody going to be in town that week in the evening?
Hang on.
Jack, are you in town?
If
Or
I
can you
can find
call?
something different, you guys are going to be town.
17th?
I might want to attend that, though.
17th or 20th?
If you can, okay. All right, that would be great, if you can find something for that week.
I will be here. If
You
it's
will
a
or will
Tuesday-
not?
If it's a Tuesday, I will not be here.
Okay, so, but you can, Wednesday, Thursday, or
18th,
Friday?
19th, 20th? You in
Are
January?
you in town?
You in January?
I won't be here Wednesday either. 18th,
But the 19th?
19th, yes.
Okay,
So
so
just the
shoot
Thursday?
for the 19th. If that was, did you say that was the 19th was preferable? Is that
that's
what you
a Thursday.
said?
No, I said
Thursday.
avoiding Friday if possible, but
Oh,
if that's all
yeah.
that's open, then we'll.
Well, no, see if we can do the 19th is a Thursday.
Okay.
Knights of Columbus.
Boy, I wish I had a life.
And I have to be there because I'm not.
I wish you did too, Jack.
I can send you some meeting invites.
All right,
Jack.
so is there any other discussion that we want to have with regards to this? So we'll keep our meeting on the 16th still, and then we'll, whatever unsolved business we have from the 16th regarding the committee, and perhaps we can have him draft up our resolution on that night too, since he's going to be there.
Are we doing 5 o'clock or 5:30 on the 16th? 5:30?
5 o'clock is our regularly scheduled.
That's
Correct.
what time you want to shoot for?
Oh, no, I'm talking about for the 16th, our usual one, the one that's, it's 5 o'clock.
You're going to send out invites?
Yes, and you should have your
It should-
workshop invites already on your
Yeah,
calendar.
there is.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah.
What were we going to say?
Appeal that night?
We do have appeals that night.
6:30.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's
so
a
5,
workshop
well,
and then
5 is a
appeals.
workshop, and then 6:30 is our appeals meeting.
Correct.
Right, okay. And then hopefully the 19th. So everybody pencil in the 19th.
So are we putting on the agenda then for the workshop to discuss the formation of the task force?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that agreeable to everybody?
What time?
5 o'clock.
On the 19th?
No,
16th.
yes, on the 16th. On the 19th. What time are we shooting for on the 19th, Steve?
I think we're open. If you guys can do 5 o'clock, I'll look at
Can we try 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
Everybody's work
Five's better
schedule?
than 6:30.
Yeah, if we can shoot for 5, that would be helpful. Okay. Are we done discussing our tab 1?
Out of 19? Yeah, okay.
All right. Well,
Oh, good, we got him. Say tab 2.
we're good? All right. Ready? Tab 2.
I move to approve the renewal of the Thriving in Place services agreement.
Second.
Second from Jack. Discussion?
The agreement states in there that any additional setup, strike, or cleaning is the responsibility of the group, and that's not to be ours, correct?
And at the new
And-
rate of $38.50.
Yes, and they have been,
yeah,
they have
no,
been doing
yeah,
that.
Okay, that's,
And I did notify Gloria too that that's the only change is that it's gone up. And she
Okay.
was-
Okay.
I think it's been a great relationship and great for the.
And
Yeah, it has been.
And I've been down there right at 3 when they leave some days, and they
Oh,
clean it up
yeah,
real
it's-
well.
That wasn't a criticism. That
No,
was
I
more
was-
of just a-
I think one of the things we've seen through the program task force is that there's some need for some activities. It doesn't necessarily mean that CROA has to provide those activities. So providing a place for them to take place with the group that's already doing it very well is working out.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Tab 3, motion to suspend voting rights of owners delinquent over 90 days with assessments, fines, or other monetary obligations in excess of $100 per Florida statute 720-305-40, or .40. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion from Leonard, second from Tim?
Yeah, I'll do that.
All right. Discussion.
Where's the list?
How many of these people do we have? I guess is the question.
I don't have the list with me tonight, but I can work with Rachel to get that list put together and have that out by the end of the week.
I care less about the list itself. I'd like to see how many we have.
Well, yeah. The list is kind of an evolving type of list. Whoever's qualified now will be qualified.
But I will say though, Rachel, that we have.
We have a preliminary list.
There are 12 people watching us right now, okay? This is a big night. No, 12 tonight. I just checked.
It popped up.
We do have a preliminary list going, okay? So one of the things that we learned, this is my first time doing the election last year, was that folks that are qualified now are going to be qualified election time because the cutoff has happened. However, if you're not qualified now, you may become qualified by paying your bill. So it is kind of a...
It's a moving target.
It's a moving target a bit, okay? But it does say 90 days.
Right.
Okay, but those people can become qualified.
Okay.
Okay, so it will kind of
It'll
move a little
evolve.
bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
But we are doing this strictly because that's what the state statute says we have to do. Okay.
And if you could just email us, as far as I'm concerned, I just would like to know whatever that number is. Is there 20 of them? Is there 150?
Depending on what day it is. That number will change every day.
I understand that.
Okay.
So pick a day.
I'll run it through Steve.
Pick a number.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second discussion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Tab 4, approval of association resolution for CROA for the election to have excess income applied to the following year's assessments.
Vanessa, can I offer a suggestion? 4,
Certainly.
5, and 6 are all very similar. If you just want to group those together and do them all as one motion to approve. If there's no objection.
I will make the motion to approve the CROA election, the CJC election, and the CCS election.
Second.
To have the excess income applied to the following year's assessments.
Okay, so we have a motion from Leonard, a second from Debbie. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm
Can I
sorry.
clarify just one?
Sorry.
Is that, so one thing we talked about was that we were going to go back and fully reserve for this year and last year for the I guess you call it working capital.
Right.
So that, is that out of excess income or is that out of?
This
This
is
is
for the
really
election.
more, this is for tax purposes. This is to allow you to do a certain tax form as opposed to another tax form. So this is the resolution. It has nothing to do with the election. of
Actual
the-
election.
This is, or even how you use that money. We'll bring back another resolution once the books are closed
Okay.
for 2016 to take any of that excess and move it over to the working capital.
Okay, all right.
Not budgetary.
Any
Right.
further questions or discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so now we are on to tab number 7. Motion to approve proposal by Scott Walker and Associates to purchase material to repair the trellis on Campus Street in the amount of $4,700. Academy Row Meeting Greenhouse Service Area Reserve Expense. Motion from Jack. Do I have a second? Crickets. Do I have a
Second.
second? Thank you. Eric, second. Discussion.
Yes, didn't we just redo this trellis?
On Meeting House Green, this is Academy Row.
This is a different one.
Yeah.
Got lots of trellises, you know.
Yeah. And I think there's 7 on Academy Row, is that right? There were more on Meeting House Green than there are on Academy Row.
So, dumb question. You love me, Leonard. why are we just doing one? Are there going to be a lot of them?
Here we go.
It's more, it's an
Trellises.
apostrophe after the L.
Yes, try to
So
explain.
Trellises.
Trellisai. Okay, there's trellisai. Okay. So this is, sorry, go ahead.
They're carports. We can summarize it as that.
Okay. Totally get it now.
Yeah, it's next to the single car.
Carport, totally get. I was
I get
thinking
you.
trellis, and I'm
Okay.
like, we just rebuilt that those trellises. So
I get it
okay.
now, that definitely.
Totally.
They definitely need help there.
Any other discussion on this one now?
Thank you, Todd.
All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion to approve proposal from Davy to implement a landscape upgrade at Heritage Hall in the amount of $18,770, CROA reserve expense. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion from Tim. Do I have a second? Second from Jack. I didn't see who it was, sorry.
It's me.
Discussion.
I am going to not vote for this evening, to support it, for the reason that I still feel that Davy is getting caught up with things. And I have not seen them use different staff for these items in order to be able to execute them. So I don't want to put additional burden or work on a contractor that is still, in my opinion, playing catch-up. So that's all I'm going to say on that.
Todd, is there any problem with delaying this, in your opinion?
No, it would most likely move into January.
Yeah, just say
It'd be contingent for the last 2 years.
No, I meant to do further work, so you can prove it, but they have to complete the other ones first.
We would have been waiting for 2 years.
Well, but in all fairness, they have been doing some
They've
stuff.
been doing some
They've
stuff.
cranked some stuff.
Todd, what is the time frame for the start of this particular piece of work here, the Heritage Hall work?
It would be probably the second or third week of January. Still need to go through ARC to make sure that some of the new bedding areas are going to be approved by them.
So we could approve the expense. I guess we don't have a signed contract with Davy yet, do we? Because all they've done is given us a proposal.
Correct.
What's the issue?
I'm still thinking through stuff.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Any other conversation, discussion?
I agree with Eric. I think we should delay it.
So do we want to have them at least go through the ARC process so that in January, if indeed they are caught up, we can at least vote to approve the expense in January?
So is this hasn't gone through ARC yet?
No, it's that he was just saying he has to go through
Yeah,
ARC.
so what I would recommend, ARC doesn't matter what vendor we use at the end of the day. It
Correct,
could still
so
be
approve the
Davy's
plan through
So
ARC.
I'm fine to do that, yeah.
Well, if we bring it back in January, that will be your month deadline that you kind of imposed.
Exactly,
tonight.
that's-
You
yeah.
have a lot better understanding.
I just see that the intent with this was to encourage them to put forth a lot more replacements on their dime, and provide nicer landscaping and improvements in the areas where there's shade and things that are needing renovated. So get it all done at one time and get a little more out of Davy at the same time is the goal.
So explain again, then, why you think the advantage of doing this now rather than actually approving it now? If you're obviously you have something in your mind based upon what you've just said. So what is it you're thinking you're going to be able, is there work that they are already supposed to be doing through that area as part of their catch-up, and you're hoping that by doing a combination that you're going to get more, or what's your rationale?
More plant material out of them. If we were just to go and force them to replace plants, I think it would be more of a struggle, is how I look at it. So you give them a little and we can get more, and dangling the carrot, or however you want to look at it. Sorry, Davey, if you're watching, but they know how it works. If we were to hire out the landscaping separately and have mulch put in some areas and then not mulch the other areas, it really needs to all happen at once.
Sure. Okay.
But it can be delayed, certainly.
So do you think then, based upon what we're talking about now, do you think that it would still be in the interest of the board to vote to approve this now? Or do you think that it would it be okay to delay the vote until January and you can still go through the ARC process and everything?
You could delay it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I might know one thing. Our next meeting is not till January 25th.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking. Yeah, yeah.
That's 40 days away.
Yeah, it'd be a February installment.
There just wouldn't be any more work going on there.
Repeat that again, I'm sorry.
Which is when they
Yeah.
said they would finish the mulching by the end of January. That would meet Eric's.
I've had a lot of dates for
That would
mulch.
meet Eric's expectation. No,
That's not my expectation.
I'm not trying to point you out that way. I don't watch landscaping in the villages because I know this much about landscaping. Okay, I watch the finances because I know a lot about finances, and I like having a diversity of a board that covers different things.
Go ahead and pull back. What were you
We
saying?
would recommend to just pull it until next month. We'll go through the ARC process. We'll bring it back next month.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
I rescind my motion.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Tab 9, motion to approve proposal by Drake Exteriors LLC to replace the roof at South Village Townhomes in the amount of, oh, that's a big number.
300 grand.
$297,816.44. South Village Townhome Reserve Expense. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion from Eric,
Seconded.
second from Jack. Please discuss this one.
Tell me,
Holy smokes.
tell me why there's such a disparity between
The
the
bids.
three bids.
Yeah. I mean, they're 335,000.
And tell me who
apart.
Drake is.
Drake is a national contractor as well as SRG Roofing. I had that very same question, so Teresa, myself, and William John and Associates, which is the consultant, we sat down with Drake and SRG and asked him that very same question. We went over every little bit and piece of the scope of work which William John and Associate developed, and that was based on current standards, things we learned through the other roofing projects last year, and they both have everything covered. So we were comfortable to say that Drake Interiors or Exteriors would be our recommendation.
How many townhomes are there? So how much is that per town?
I think there's 59.
Is there? I don't know that exact. That's a Teresa
So it's about 6,000.
thing.
It's not bad.
Extrapolating what we did previously and applying it to this contract, are we in line as far as dollar-wise?
We are definitely.
How did performance come in so high then?
I think we wore them out on the other two projects.
They didn't want to have anything to do with it.
We should wait to see Davies rebid.
It's 39.
And that's my honest opinion. If you don't want the job, you usually bid higher, and if you get it, great. If not, no
At least it's worth your while. If you're miserable and you're getting phone calls at all hours of the night, at least you're getting paid well.
And that was my concern. It's like, okay, well, performance has done two jobs. Are we not seeing something through the other two contractors? Are we missing something? And we feel like it's all covered.
What was the cost on the campus in Meeting House Green?
That was a lot smaller. Wasn't it? It was a lot.
No.
That's 59 total. This is
Overall,
only
it's larger.
39.
But you know what? But it was it was broken down differently. Okay, go ahead. That's why.
Yeah, and these roofs are slightly different. There's some low slope roofing, so there's different type of materials being utilized. So they are quite a bit different than the campus, and you don't have the traffic impact as well. So there's some cost savings there.
And Todd, are we doing the same thing? I know when we had looked at campus, we had looked at the difference in materials versus the upgraded based off of the code and all that jazz. I'm sure, so everyone knows Williams and whoever, they're they're engineering people. This is like what they do.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
And we're not going, cheap on everything.
Right.
It's
Okay.
All right, out in left field, did we even look at photovoltaic shingles or anything like that as far as?
They're not out yet.
Yes, they are.
Not the good ones.
No, we did not.
That's a great question.
Well, that's also something, though, that's, I mean, this is the townhome reserve. This is that's something
Right.
that they all, that the homeowners there discuss what they do or don't want to do too, correct?
Well, they may not have been
Okay.
aware either.
And it goes on the reserve study and their recommendations, and we did look at the time frame to see whether it could be stretched out, and no, we don't want to stretch these out based on repairs over the past year.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Any further discussion? Go ahead.
Just one question. Is there a clause for completion on this if it goes way past?
There is, I
Performance.
don't know what the exact wording is. but-
She's asking time of essence.
Right, yes. It is in there, and we can clarify that for you.
Okay.
Yes.
It's long.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion to approve to convert a 50,000 fine.
Wait.
No.
Oh, sorry, I missed tab 10. Sorry, missed tab 10. Relax, it's okay, sorry. Motion to approve the remaining 5 of 13 service area budgets, Academy Row Meeting House Green, 64B, Blue Sage Townhomes, 64I, Parkview Townhomes, 64M, Spring Lake Townhomes, 64N, and Spring Lake Gardens, 64P.
Motion to approve the budgets of all.
Motion second discussion.
You know, I mean, first it says operating budget comparison to prior year, and we have just 2017, so we don't have the prior year in there.
Because it's new.
Well, in Spring Lake, it doesn't make sense if you're looking at.
Oh, this is all Spring Lake?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it
It's all
says
Spring Lake.
Academy Row,
They're too new.
Academy Row Meeting House Green.
Yeah,
But it is, I would,
I can
that's actually what I'd want to
absolutely
look
provide
at,
that
is
for
that
you.
it did an increase, decrease, and there's really nothing.
Academy Row Meeting House Green decreased by, I'm going to tell you, $80 per door. So it was a rather substantial one that they were looking towards a decrease because the roof project is completed.
Yeah, and it was, what was it, I think my neighbor said it was 80% of the additional assessment came back down, is that right?
Yes, it did come back down.
Now that, because it was 2 years worth, so it was 80% of the 2 full years or 80% of the last year, I guess?
Well, just to keep it fully funded. So we lowered it, I'm going to say, what was it?
$55,000?
It was $55,000 for 59 units.
Okay.
The reserve fund.
He seemed happy with that, so that's good.
Right. Well, we actually have met with all of the service areas. We've actually met with Meeting House Green and Blue Sage on 2 occasions. Parkview, everyone's had a private meeting. We just had Spring Lake recently. And Spring Lakes doesn't really make sense because it's still in development. But I think we answered the questions to the satisfaction of the owners.
Okay, I haven't heard anything negative, so.
I'm sure that we would have, correct?
None of these had any substantial increases.
I will tell you that Parkview did have an increase of about 11%, and that is primarily due to I'm going to say they haven't funded properly in the past, and with the new funding, we actually sat down with Parkview. There were 3 owners at the meeting. It could have been a 22% increase, it could have been a 10% increase, but we ended up with 11%, and they are fully funded.
Okay.
So,
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Now, tab 11 that I was trying to get to earlier. Motion to approve to convert a $50,000 fine and a $25,000 fine to a specific assessment, S9.
So moved.
Motion from Jack, a second from Tim. Discussion?
Just want to let you know, both properties are getting ready for foreclosure, but CROA's doing due diligence, imposing the fines prior to.
Great, thank you. Further discussion?
The waterside one, Steve, I'm sorry, can you just give me a little info on that one?
Tab 11?
No. Do you have any additional information for the number 2, item number 2?
The second one, I'm sorry.
Side road holes.
I mean, is it just for the sidewalk, the driveway, the lights, the shutters, and the mulch, and it's
It is, but
25,000?
those are fines where there was non-responsiveness. They accumulated, and again, the fines are already there. This is trying to convert them into an assessment.
We're just trying to secure it, because they're going into foreclosure. We want to
Pretty much
secure it.
abandoned and everything?
Yeah, we want to secure that, we want to secure our money, basically.
And they're eyesores in the community, so we want to try and do everything we can to the fullest extent.
Yeah, we need to get our stake in there so we get our money when
We're 9 months into trying to get them to repair these things, the eyesores.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Tab 12, motion to approve to have CCMC send 11 service area intent to lien letters to owners delinquent as of November 30th assessments. Motion from Jack, second from Tim.
Yep.
Thank you. Discussion. Remember, do not use addresses and names. No discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Tab 13, move to approve to have CCMC send 167 CROA intent to lien letters to owners delinquent as of October 30th assessments.
So moved. Second.
Motion from Tim, second from Jack. Discussion?
I'm seeing all these are about the same amount. I'm assuming it's just because of something silly.
Oh, because they're behind the same number of
Oh, the same
assessments.
number of,
Yeah.
never mind, sorry. Math
Makes
is
sense?
not a strong suit of mine. I don't
Stay
do
in,
math.
stay in tech.
I
Stay in
surround
tech.
myself with people that are very good at math.
That's why you have a computer in front of you, right? Okay. All in,
And look at plants. That's what I do.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? Tab 14, motion to approve one homeowner request totaling the 2842. Remember, do not use names.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve from Debbie. Do I have a second? Crickets.
Second.
Second from Tim? Okay. Discussion?
You're seconding to approve it?
He's seconding to approve it.
Yeah,
To
just
approve
so we can get to
approve
discussion.
approve the
So the.
request of waiving.
I see the question here is that the owner states that they never received this statement. However, we have confirmation that the statement was sent and that they have received them in the past without any issue. And they're asking for not only the late fee, but also for the interest to be waived as well, which were posted back in November. Is that a correct synopsis?
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
he's had one previous waiver, is that right?
Well, he's been granted
No
one waiver.
one waiver in the past.
Yeah.
He has not.
One ITL too.
But he's had 5 late fees in the last, 3 late fees in the last 5 years.
I'm assuming this was recommended because of the original parameters we have set up, correct, Rachel? Or are there other circumstances that you would wish to speak of?
This Christmas.
Yeah.
It's not a recommendation.
It's just for your information.
A fee.
Okay? The manager remarks are to tell you that we confirmed that he did receive things.
Right.
Okay.
We are just, we're just sort of telling you what was said, but we're not recommending or
Okay.
No opinion either
no
way.
opinion.
No opinion.
Okay.
We're just giving you the facts.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you, Rachel. So we have a motion to approve the request, and we have a second to approve the request. Do we have any further discussion regarding this? All in favor?
Guys, it's Christmas.
All opposed? Any opposed? Okay, so we have a motion and a second, but we have how many nays? Do we have? Yeah, so everybody is.
Try that one more time.
I didn't vote.
Debbie voted yes, and then I only heard one nay.
Yeah.
I only heard one yes, and I heard one nay, so I'm not sure the time.
So here's the question that I guess that I have. I'm trying to think of historical precedents and perspective on this. When I have seen previously that there has been any waiver or late fee other than like zero in the past, we normally don't.
Say no.
We normally say no.
Correct.
So for this, if we're following that same methodology, we're going to say no.
Okay.
You all said in a workshop, though, no more than 2 within 5 years that you would
Right.
approve.
It was no more than 2, and you just had 1, that's why I motioned to.
But we didn't say anything about intent to liens, and there has been one ITL on this property also.
Yeah.
That's why I'm really on the fence on this. I'm leaning very hard no.
Okay, well, right now we have a motion and a second. Do either the motion or the second want to rescind or adjust their motion or second? Or do we want to hold it and vote as stands?
Yeah, because you're going to have to give a vote.
Yeah, we need to go and let's just vote this one way or the other.
We said they could do 2
Okay, all
waivers
right.
in 5 years.
Okay, so all in favor of approving the request?
Aye.
1, anybody else?
Nay.
No, any ayes? I have 1 aye. Do I have any other ayes? I have 1 aye. Now, do I have any noes?
Nay.
1, 2, 3, no, 4, okay, so we have, everybody else is a no.
Debbie.
I did?
Debbie.
Debbie did.
Oh, who? Debbie did. And then
And I
Tim seconded.
just to start the discussion, but.
Tim seconded it.
Okay,
So we have 2 people that didn't vote.
6.
They all voted no. The rest of them voted no.
Even if you didn't. even if
I'm
you
the only
didn't say
softie
no,
in the group, right, so you know that.
Okay.
I will make the motion to not approve the homeowner request.
Huh?
But we've already
We've already voted. We're
We
moving
don't have to
on.
do it again?
No,
you didn't
we're moved
pass
on.
the
We're
vote.
done. We
Oh,
just voted-
okay,
we said
perfect.
no. We're
We needed to
good.
approve it,
Sorry.
and we didn't.
We said no.
Tell me to shut up.
Okay. Hush.
Pay attention.
Okay, we're on to number 15. Can I get everybody back again? Woohoo, reel it in. All right, tab 15. Motion to approve or not approve, 1 payment plan. Tab 15.
I move to deny it.
Okay, so we have one denial. Do we have a second?
A
Debbie's seconding it. Discussion.
Similar to the
Why?
first,
Yeah.
similar to the previous
Look at the-
one,
You see the notes here?
you know, one late fee is like $25, not $403, so I can't see.
Oh,
waiving
I
it.
missed the 0.
Mm-hmm.
I saw 7. Never
70.
mind. Okay.
Yeah. Any further discussion?
So let me understand, so he wants to pay his balance in full by the end of the year.
Read all the notes in the bottom there. Read all those bottom, all the.
Three asterisks.
There's 3 asterisks in the bottom there.
Yeah.
Take a peek at those before you even look at the rest of it.
So what they're, yeah.
Okay. So essentially, they're asking to extend, allow them to go through the end of the year, and then just waive all the late fees and interest. And then
Right.
that's when they'll pay the balance.
Right, yeah. So, we have a
Motion to deny.
motion to deny and a second to deny. All in favor
Deny.
of denial? Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed of the denial? Everybody's, okay, so there was, all 7 of us are a denial.
We're all in denial.
More ways than one. Tab 16, motion to approve 4 legal requests as advised by our attorney. Tab 16. Remember, use numbers, not names, please.
Can we do them one at a time?
Absolutely. Number 1, do I have a motion for number 1?
I move to accept management's recommendation for number 1.
Okay, so a motion from Eric, do I have a second on management recommendation?
I'll second it for this.
Who was
Debbie-
second?
Debbie
Debbie's
Wright
second.
won.
Debbie's second, because you wanted just to discuss it, so go ahead. Discussion. Any discussion?
Is this supposed to be a payment plan?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they would waive the.
And we're
fees and
waiving
interest after it
a
was
huge amount?
completed.
Yeah, but,
This is to try and satisfy the legal.
yeah, but that's the thing, because it's to satisfy the legal piece of it. That's where I was going with it, because of the claim of lien.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no current fines on the property, correct?
Correct.
Right.
I think they broke everything down.
Yeah, I'm looking at the pieces here.
Well, what I'm looking at is he's requesting a payment plan, but he's not saying what the payment plan is.
It's in the
I think
attorney
4
recommendation.
months.
4
4
months. Yeah. That includes the 2017 assessments.
See the box.
Okay.
But only, and I assume you guys have the management recommendations when I say it,
Yes.
so I don't say it, but it's only if they complete the payment plan as the terms are indicated that we would waive that.
Right, which is
Yeah. Right.
which is what you just say,
Perfect.
as long
Yeah.
as it's management recommendations.
Yep.
So we have any further discussion regarding item 1? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so 1 no. Number 2, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion from Tim to accept what?
Management's.
Thank you. Do I have a second for management recommendation?
I'll second.
Second from Leonard. Discussion.
Is the property a habitual requester?
No.
It says no.
What I'm
No.
seeing,
Not a habitual requester.
does it? Oh, sorry,
Under
sorry,
management.
sorry.
Okay, it's not really-
Any further discussion?
Let me ask you, so in all these cases, the legal fees are being paid then?
Yeah, they're not asking to waive the legal fees.
Yes,
They're
we
just
can't waive
asking
legal
for
fees.
the-
Yeah, fees and interest.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Do I have a motion for number 3?
So move.
Motion from Jack to accept the management recommendation?
Yes.
Okay, or attorney recommendation, or both. And a second from Debbie. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 4, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion from Debbie to accept attorney/management recommendations? Do I have a second?
I'll second it for discussion anyway.
Let's wake up.
Second from Leonard, okay. Any discussion?
Mike, this is a bank, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So maybe I'm heartless. Why are we considering waiving anything from a bank? It's a
I
bank.
think that's
I
our
think-
standard
Do you want to speak to that?
reply when they
It's a
ask for
bank.
all the waive of late fees and interest. We always come back with a half.
Rachel,
Rachel,
correct
give me-
me if I'm wrong about this, but this bank was one that our insurance company was involved with. And so,
This is the condo in Siena, right?
right,
Right.
right.
No,
It
this
was-
is not.
Right.
This is
No, this is
Artisan.
No.
This
It is
Artisan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Of course,
sorry.
it's artisan.
I know it very well.
I know you do. And
So any further questions or clarification questions that you need answered?
Well, I didn't understand Rachel's response.
yes, this one was involved with our insurance company who reimbursed them the even number of that dollar amount.
Yeah.
And so they're willing to pay us basically 1 year plus what was on the account that they've been reimbursed for.
With a waiver of half of it.
With a waiver of half.
Well,
of
we
it.
don't even know if they'll
Well,
accept
no,
it.
that's not
They
the waiver,
came with
that's
the
the
full, and we're
attorney's
saying.
recommendations, a waiver of
Right.
half.
Pardon me?
The attorney's recommendation is a waiver of half.
Right.
We don't know if they'll accept this either.
We don't.
We don't.
But that's typically what we've come back with is.
Yeah.
Explain to me the claim that was filed against our insurance company, because I don't,
It's been, I'll have to explain it to you separately.
okay, well,
I
I
don't
would,
think I,
okay, then I'm going to withdraw my second on it for approval.
Is this something that we need to approve right now, or can we wait till next month till we get more clarification on it?
we can wait until next month.
Well,
I
you can
mean,
vote the opposite way
it's
you
gonna
did today.
sit-
I don't-
Withdraw my
it's gonna
motion,
sit
move to
there.
table. Do I need to move to
Does that
table?
affect anything? It can?
It does.
Are you sure?
It just sits there,
Oh,
waiting for us.
We'll just go, at
And
this
I'll
point.
send you an email tomorrow explaining the whole thing, so that you'll have it in writing.
okay. Is that reasonable for everyone?
Yeah.
Do we need to
Okay.
move to table or just let it go?
No,
Okay.
just let it go.
Okay.
Let it die.
Or even more.
Okay, so that's it for that. Tab 17, motion to approve 3 attorney-instructed write-offs totaling $9,427.61.
So move.
Second.
Motion from Jack, second from Debbie. Remember, just numbers. Any discussion?
This is an automatic.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to, at the end of the year, to understand how the total attorney fees that we've written off, because our homeowners pay for that. And also trying to understand we've talked about this before, our relationship with attorneys, whether we can do it differently or just that whole situation. But I would like to know, I mean, that seems like last month we wrote off something like $30,000 or so to attorneys.
Yeah, but this is not attorney fees, what we call. This is
Well, some of
assessment,
it is.
interest.
So-
Yeah.
1,087 is attorney fees.
1,087.
Yeah,
It's
no, I understand that.
It's uncollectible stuff.
I just want to understand how much our homeowners are having to pay for
Oh, yeah.
attorney fees.
Oh, yeah.
And whether we can't do something differently, because we've talked about, well, why are we, and it's something I need to understand, but the process of these attorneys getting on cases, piling up fees, and then we end up having to write them off. And is there a different way of doing this so that, and are we confident that we don't have attorneys going after stuff that we know that has no chance of being collected, and then we end up having to, not only do we not get the money, we end up eating the cost of those attorneys. So, right. I mean, that's for a different discussion, I guess, but.
I wonder if we could get the history of this. I mean, you've got the history. Is that in our current packet?
What I can do is on next month's financials, give you kind of a summary of what we've written off in assessments per the attorney directives.
I'm interested in the attorney fees, not the other.
Well, it would all be.
Because the attorney, when I look at the line item of the budget, it's here's our attorney cost, and it may say X, but that's not. I mean, our homeowners are paying it. This is the biggest chunk of what our homeowners are paying for attorneys. So I want to understand how much our attorneys are making from our homeowners, and if that's $200,000, is there a different way that we can do this so that we aren't eating that much money from our attorneys?
I believe what you're saying is, when you say by the homeowners, you mean by our association.
Mm-hmm.
Because homeowners that get an intent to lien letter or it goes to lien, they pay all the attorney's fees if they pay and catch it back up. And that's this. I brought this up quite a while back about having an attorney workshop to go through and look at all the exact attorney costs, and I'm glad some other people are starting to get on board.
All right.
Yeah, it looks like you now have another person.
I'm always
that's on
6 months
that's on
behind
your
you, Leonard.
part.
You know that. You say stuff, and it takes me 6 months to process.
Okay, so let's get back to this issue. Right now, we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion with regards to this? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Tab number, well, actually not even tab, it's just item 18. Meeting with Sienna and current progress. Do you have a motion for discussion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Eric, second from Jack. Sorry, he beat you.
That's okay.
Discussion.
I'd like to provide an update.
Perfect.
So yesterday, Susanna met with Rick Colon on the master board. He was part of the meeting, the special meeting that the board had with the Sienna board.
Yep.
Jacob from New Leaf and Jose. Albert was scheduled for that, but Albert is very sick. He's been bit by one of the bugs that's going around right now. So he was not able to make that. But they did have a 2-hour walk. They did talk about incorporating a lot of the design changes that Albert's already given them.
Okay.
And part of that was the coloring shrubs, the vertical plants, very similar to Georgetown. Jacob marked the plans, and he's sending them to Albert for review.
Okay.
And then they're going to do another walkthrough, reschedule walkthrough with Albert to address the courtyard designs, and then the overall general screenings of the satellites. So once Albert's back up and running, they're going to get back out there with him.
But they are submitting the revised landscaping plan to ARC so we can get that going.
Right, for that part of it. And it's at no fault of theirs. They met their obligation to meet this week prior to Jose going on vacation. It just, unfortunately, Albert got sick and couldn't do it.
I think I guess my hope is that in the absence of Albert's recommendation, if ARC is comfortable with it, let me rephrase the question. is ARC likely to approve this in Albert's absence, or would we need to wait to have Albert?
I think he's emailing it to Albert. Is
Yeah,
what
I
he's,
think
yeah, he's-
Albert can
yeah.
look at it. And,
So he's still going to look at it even though
He's
he's
still
sick?
looking at, yeah, he's looking.
Yeah.
He just couldn't get out there
He couldn't
and
get out.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
so Jacob wrote on the plans, the adjustments, and then they're forwarding that on to Albert.
Perfect.
So Albert can approve it then
Okay.
still. So that
That's great.
shouldn't be much of a delay other than waiting for Albert's response.
Sure.
Is that accurate?
Yes, that's the only delay right now is that. And then they had to reschedule to get Albert out there on site with them though to look at the courtyards and look at the challenges that they're having with the satellite and screening of the satellites.
Okay.
And then Rick or Jose are still planning on being at your January meeting to provide an update.
Perfect. Leonard, and then I have a question too. Go ahead.
I would like both the discussion of Sienna and the discussion of Georgetown to be on every one of our agendas until we have a May or June deadline on each one. I can't recall which one is where.
June 14th for Georgetown.
Yeah.
But until all of the items that were previously in mediation, that we discussed going to litigation with are finished, because I want to have that every month so we see that constant report back to us that they are meeting what they set out here and told us on Sienna. I missed the Georgetown meeting. I had a previous engagement for that. But I'd like for that to be on every agenda item, just as a discussion item,
Right.
every month, so that
For
anyone
accountability.
for accountability, it's to make sure that there's no glitches. When Sienna was here, they talked about
Perceived
not
delays, that
quite
sort of thing. Right.
being able to get together with exactly what they were supposed to do, and so things kind of fell through the cracks. And I don't want anything to fall through the cracks. I want them and everyone to understand we're very serious about having these projects finished out and getting them off of our agenda completely.
Okay, so I have a motion from Leonard then to make sure that there's standing agenda items for Georgetown and Sienna. Do I have a second for that?
I'll second that.
Second from Jack. All in favor?
Well,
Any
I just
opposed?
wanted to mention, I mean, what seems to me works better is for us to have a board member give us the update and to talk to a board member from Sienna or whatever. And rather than what we have a lot of times is just us kind of complaining about stuff. And it's like, I think one, if the board member comes, then they know they're accountable, and they'll make sure before they come that they've got all their facts straight or whatever. But we can continue the dialogue that we've had going board to board.
I believe in January, aren't we supposed to have?
They're coming.
Scheduled to come.
They're coming.
We,
Jose.
at the Sienna meeting,
Board member Rick.
at the Sienna meeting, I asked for Jose to come and give us the report at this next meeting. And I would expect them to come back every meeting that we have to give us that same
Yeah,
update
I'd
that
be honest, I
the
mean,
meeting
because
is.
what I said with Jose, I'd rather do it with a board member. Honestly, I think that, yeah, I think it has to be with that, because I felt like it was a lot more effective talking to a board member than to the manager.
We can put it at the top of the agenda. So that
Yeah.
they're the first two items.
Yeah, just request that both Jose and a board member attend would be awesome. Is that reasonable?
That's fine.
Okay. Is that reasonable, Paul?
That's fine, yeah.
Okay. So we can still continue our discussion if you would like to with regards to Sienna.
The only other question I had of Sienna is that there are other outstanding items other than landscaping that are still there. Has any progress been made to date on any of those that we're aware of? Because I haven't seen it.
I believe that the other items were the trees, the roadway trees, and I think that was
There's
for the
trees, there's the satellite
we talked
dishes,
about
they're
that.
still waiting for that, and then there was also the rust on the buildings, which was handled external to the painting that they were talking about.
They work on the buildings.
They gave us a timeline for those things when the board and Jose was in here. They were finishing the balconies up. The next was to go through and do the
stripping
rest
and
on
no
the edge, the corner pieces.
But if I'm remembering correctly, the balconies that they're currently still working on, at least I see scaffolding in front of, are supposed to be completed.
And I think that was part of what their expectations for their update in January.
Okay.
The deadline for this week was to try and get the landscape walkthrough done before Jose left for vacation.
Okay.
Which would also include the satellite dishes.
Correct.
But we couldn't include the satellite dishes because.
Right.
They did what
Yeah.
they could without Albert.
Okay. I do have one question. When they were walking through regarding the berm trees, the ones that were removed.
The roadway trees.
Right. Do you know if they, if Jacob had made any suggestions? Because I know they had concerns about putting new trees there because they would die. Basically, there's no place for them to grow. Was there anything that came out from the conversation?
That wasn't part of the update I received from Susanna, but I'll touch base with her tomorrow and see if there's any more
Okay,
information.
because I think the hope was to have Albert there to actually have some,
Right.
because he was pretty persistent and insistent that it goes up there. But I think it's important that we hear them out with, if it's not.
With why?
If it's not going to happen, or if it's not feasible for them to actually live, that would be kind of important.
Right.
So. Okay, any further discussion with regards to Sienna? Okay, do I have a motion to discuss progress on Georgetown?
So moved.
Motion from Eric, do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Debbie.
The walkthrough with Albert Riddle, Georgetown Management, and the landscaper took place in November. Georgetown submitted plans shortly after that for buildings 1 through 5. Those were approved by ARC with conditions at Monday's meeting. And those conditions are minor changes on plans. And Susanna has reported that Georgetown has already come back with revisions to that. So they've been very responsive. Albert has, I already told you that he's sick.
Revisions in favor of? They're moving forward, or they're going to have to go through the process
forward.
again?
No,
Okay.
with revisions to those recommendations that we made. So that's one of the things that Albert will give one last look over and approve.
Okay.
So we are not holding them up right now?
No, other than just making sure Albert, when he gets his help back to look at those revisions, is okay with them.
And I'm trying to recall from the meeting on the building 1 was the building that they had already completed the plantings on, correct?
It was, and I think that they were.
They were doing some revisions.
Yeah.
Right, based on
So
trying to get that tier.
The plan that they applied, went through with the 2-tier plantings and the adjustments and all that sort of stuff. That's what went through ARC and was approved with
The
conditions.
plan that they submitted based on their walkthrough is what has been approved with the minor conditions.
Perfect.
So Susanna has verified that the Gantt chart timeline is on track based on the extension that you gave. Because remember, their Gantt chart was based on the April finish time, and you gave them to June.
Yeah.
So if you spread it out, they're a little bit behind on it, but it's okay because they're going until June.
Okay.
Then they're working on already their set of the plans for the next set of buildings, based on the information they received.
And that machine that they have is really cool, by the way. If you guys have
You've always had machine envy.
I know.
Yeah.
That
He like that.
thing,
He
thing's
does. He
crazy.
just loves that stuff.
I drove by and saw it in action. I was like, that's awesome.
Did you ask if you could go
I
over?
know, right? Play with it.
As they do the walkthrough, they're addressing the satellite dishes. And Susanna reports that she's feeling good about how this is going and the responsiveness of Georgetown. So they're moving along.
Okay, and have we had any feedback from Georgetown at all with regards to whether they are feeling the love too?
I did not ask her about that.
Okay.
So the one item that is kind of within here, but it's not with progress, but one of the things that we discussed at that meeting was the ability for them to report specific items through our existing cell service application. So one of the things that, and I don't think we need a motion on this, I just think it's a note for management, similar to how we have service areas called out on the application today, I think that we should approach the all the condominium complexes in the community for if they want to have their complex listed within the application, with the caveat that those just get instantly assigned over to a representative to be designated by their condominium association.
We can workflow it to where
Yeah,
it just
exactly.
goes directly
It's just a
to them.
workflow that it goes to someone there. So essentially, I don't want it to create additional burden for management here to have to reassign those, but then it allows residents in those areas, so if they see something, they can then report it in, and then it goes directly to their staff, because it doesn't cost us anything to do that.
No, but it also helps with accountability.
Absolutely,
too.
yeah.
That's a good
It
idea.
will show up as open agenda, or open
Open items,
request
yeah.
if they're not completed. But it would be just like we're doing with CCD.
Exactly,
No
exactly,
different.
yeah.
Okay.
I have a quick question from, someone came in from Sienna. Did someone mention tonight that we should cut down all the trees and not replace them?
No.
Okay. I think they misheard. I didn't hear anybody say that.
No.
No, this is the trees that they cut down in the past.
The ones that they had cut down in the past, and there was a challenge because they were saying that replacing those trees that were cut down
On the berm.
on the berm would be, they don't grow well there. It's too much, it's too much. So what they were supposed to, that was part of our conversation. That was part of our conversation here.
Okay.
If you're, when they
The
were.
last time they were here.
Correct.
Okay.
And I was just
But
following
it
up.
wasn't the trees on the whole street, it was just that one area.
No, the one areas that were already cut down, if indeed Albert was able to provide some suggestions for those.
Okay.
Because Jacob is an arborist also, and Jacob was going to be there. So that was my question, was whether or not they had that conversation.
Okay.
And that was not part of what Steve had
So
the
we're good.
information on. We don't know.
Thank you.
Go ahead, I'm
My
sorry.
last real short one, again, is just I'll use Eric's word, a note to management, that the day of or the day before the meeting, if Susanna can go through both Georgetown and Sienna, confirm that whatever is on their list or whatever. So when we get someone in here from Sienna and they say, well, we went through and did, these 18 things.
Right, I understand.
We know whether they've done that or not, because we've had someone from the management company
Already saved it.
overlook that.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm finished.
Okay.
And I move to,
Well, now we still have strategic planning update goals.
oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about
Sorry,
those.
good try. Any further discussion with regards to Georgetown? Okay. So, strategic planning goal update. Goal number 1, build mutually beneficial strategic partnerships with county, civic, community, schools, and districts. Jack and myself. We met with the Celebration Foundation and discussed some potential with the Stetson building. And that was also mentioned at the CDD meeting. So we're still just in discussions with how can we keep that as part of the community. So it's just an ongoing discussion on how do we want to move forward, or what are our options. And then we have a joint CDD meeting, or not really a joint. We have been invited to attend, and that's 2 weeks. I don't remember the exact date.
Tuesday.
The 19th.
Oh, 19th, next
The
month.
19th.
Yeah.
And that's all I have for update.
Well, actually, I'd like to tag on to what you said.
Perfect.
Because I went to a meeting with Ron Cole from Code Enforcement and Jodelle Zaballero from Traffic and Cliff Akey, Maria Fuentes from CDD, and Susanna. And our initial discussion was to talk about dumpsters. And what they basically told us is that there's a roadway utilization permit that's now being required by the county in order to put any dumpster pod or something that's going to be in the roadway for an extended period of time. And I told Susanna to include that and the link, you can do it online, into our ARC approval process, because it's like a $110 permit fee for this. And the county wants to know where you're going to put it, how long it's going to be there, and they're going to say whether it's objectionable or not, whether it's in the right location.
They're going to charge $110 every time you lay down a dumpster?
If you put a dumpster there. Then that basically led into another discussion that they've examined all our roads, and they're looking at the roads. If it's more than 26 feet wide, you got a green line on your road. If it's less than 26 feet and 20 feet, it's an orange line. And less than 20 feet, you get a red line. And what that means is they're going to look to limit parking on both sides of the street if you have less than 20 feet. And they're going to present that to the county in February, but they're going to experiment with Croton Place right now because some residents have complained about the width of the roads there and getting in and out of there. So they're going to try and develop some kind of signage to be used there and a plan in order to alleviate that problem. So I would expect that we'll see a number of roads in most of our villages that are going to be affected by this.
So, Mike, I know this is a county issue, but this signage has to be approved by no one, correct? Because
Well,
they just can
yeah,
put it into the,
they are going to come to CDD and talk to them about signage, because we don't want to see any offensive signage or restrictive signage. It's not friendly.
yeah, that's my, especially with these being in residential areas, that's my
Right.
one big fear.
We want it to look like the rest of our
But
signage.
yeah, I want to match
Yeah,
the
we
overall
want
visual idea.
continuity.
No, CDD is going to be on top of that. We
Okay.
are going to meet with them again, talk a little bit more about what this is all about.
Okay.
So Jack,
It's a
like
work in
with
process. It's
Mulberry
a
and
work
those other ones, would they look at changing it to one, we changed part of it to one way for the school, is it something where we look
Not
at?
necessarily one way, but no parking on one side.
Right.
And this is basically to get
But if
emergency
it-
vehicles
If it was
through.
if it was one way though, you could have, like we did on Mulberry per part of it, couldn't you?
I don't know if Mulberry is one of those streets. All I know is I get the maps with the greens and
small.
reds and stuff.
Yeah, it's small.
Jack, this stuff is all done purposely. There's a reason behind all this stuff, and this is a part of the whole new urbanism thing. I don't understand why, and if you go to Baldwin Park, the roads are much more narrow than ours. And I don't see this kind of stuff going on. I don't see the fire department and everybody going after them. So, this is
Paul,
really upsetting, and I think this is coming as much from, basically we're just kind of, we're slowly reneging on all the ideas that built this community.
This is
And-
coming from the fire department.
No, it's coming from you guys and the fire department working together. The fire department, they're always going to want to have bigger roads. They're going to want to, they're going to want to, cut the trees to 15 feet. They're always going to want that stuff. And, if we want this community to stay like it is, we need to continue to fight for, the original design, which was designed by some of the, the top architects in the world. But if we want to just allow the county to do what they want, which is the fire department and police, we're gonna end up like Hunters Creek, if that's what you want. But this really upsets me. I mean, this is ridiculous. There's a reason why the roads are like they are here.
Jack, do you know what happened downtown, by the post office where we used to be able to turn left onto Water Street and used to be able to turn left onto Market Street, and now those are just cross-hashed?
Right next to the mailbox.
Oh, they're gonna straighten out the lining on that.
Are you still going to have that left turn lane?
Yeah, it's still there.
So right now,
They're going to work on the lining of that.
Not the way that
It's not done properly.
not the way that it's looked to stripe, the way that it's.
I mean, it's been
I
20
know, but
years
it-
and now they have to restripe it, I don't get it.
It wasn't striped properly.
Yeah, well, the other thing that I'm actually happy to see that they appear to be that they're going to be striping is the zone that they said is not a bike lane. That's that easement zone.
It's
They're
not a
gonna
bike
put-
lane, no, it's just
No,
for the
it's not a
dog.
bike lane,
Yeah, it's not.
but they're gonna put hash marks through that. So,
And I asked Joe Dell also about the traffic light at Waterside and Celebration Boulevard, Celebration Boulevard. And they're basically waiting for Disney to go through the channels to approve the money. Okay, they've given them an estimate, it's like $430,000. They have not received any money, so they're waiting on Disney now.
Okay.
Thank you. Goal number 2, improve communication tools and methods to better educate and involve members of the community, Eric and myself.
I would like to add in the additional communities as stated into the applications. That's a big thing for me. I mean, we have the tool, I think Seller Service is working relatively well. The only thing that I would say is that we just need to, areas that we can be more inclusive to do that. The other piece is that I don't necessarily think that we should be as cautious as we are today about sending notifications out. I think that we can utilize that channel more, which would encourage more people to sign up for it. So,
I mean, like the emergency, like the notices we get
yeah,
whenever
little
there's.
things like if there's a pool closure
Okay, yeah.
or those sort of things, but we can do the same sort of thing if there's something else going on. I think that we just need to make sure that we're utilizing that method because, to my knowledge, there haven't been any complaints about us using it.
I would
So,
agree.
You can opt out of the notification.
Exactly,
Yeah.
you can turn it off.
Yeah, I like my notifications.
The only other thing that I would say in addition to the condo piece is that I would like to see more completion pictures. I know that it's a problem with the way that it's working, but it's just it's an accountability thing. And Todd has done a great job recently for a lot of items that I've been a pain on, that he's gone out and taking pictures of. Most notably the one at Artisan Park with the amphitheater trying to replace that stone cap was a pain in the rear, and he ended up finally just doing it in-house, which I think is great. He went out there and did that. And there's a completion picture for it, so if it gets broken tonight, someone can say, well, we did fix it. Sorry.
Thank you, Eric. Goal number 3, develop and implement recreation program plan. Paul and Debbie.
David gave an update, so I think we're good on that. It's going well. And
It is.
Steve and David have been putting together a lot of information. Thank you.
And
we're getting close.
Great, thank you. Goal number 4, further improve member services to enhance lifestyle offerings, quality of life benefits for all ages. Jack and Tim.
Nothing new to report.
Okay. Although I do think it piggybacks on the recreation plan. And,
Yes, it does, yeah.
And your Thriving in Place, you just renewed Thriving in Place.
Yeah, I was just going to say the renewal of that contract is big. They utilize the Jones Room a lot, and that's a great place for them to gather. And those programs going on over there, there's a lot of people who look forward to that every day.
One more thing, I know it's
Yes.
getting late, but a part of the recreation program plan talks about the utilizing the pillars of the cornerstones of celebration. It talks about utilizing the pillars of the National Recreation Parks Association, the pillars of the Florida Recreation Parks Association, and all of those things go back to quality of life. So taking a comprehensive look with what has become kind of a standard term now, quality of life, it really is looking at how we address that in celebration through lifestyle and recreation programming.
Thank you. Goal number 5, develop understandable budget and transparent cost controls accountability. Leonard and Paul, you are all over this.
We continue to dig through one thing at a time. Paul brought up legal expenses this evening that I hope we're going to be tackling here shortly. I wasn't super pleased with the transparency in the budget, but I've already started on a 2017 template for the budget and renaming a few of the accounts and things like that. That's basically what I've done. Paul, do you have anything to?
Any additions, Paul?
No, but we've gotten good cooperation from CCMC and all the stuff, so I appreciate that.
Perfect, thank you. Number 6, ensure community standards are met. Tim and Leonard.
Well, and I'll just say what happened last night at the Covenants workshop was a lot of great stuff. The question has always been, when you got a dirty roof and a dirty sidewalk and a dirty driveway, that was 3 violations. Now it looks like we're going to go lean towards the fact that that's 1 violation, and that's okay. Consolidating those is a smart idea, I believe, but I just want to make sure that the Covenants Committee and this community standards realize that this is a 20-year-old community, and what was easy to enforce these last 20 years will be tougher to enforce these next 20 years because of the age of the community. So we need to be even more diligent in doing our inspections and making sure the homes stay at that first-class standard that the Disney founders set out to do. So that's really important.
Thank you. Board comments. Anyone?
I guess I just want to thank the residents that came and spoke tonight. I know it's a very difficult area, but I don't want them to think that we're not concerned about the downtown, because I think everybody in the community that I know that's aware is concerned about that downtown. The CROA, according to the charter, doesn't have we're not empowered to regulate anything with the structure, so it makes it very hard, but we are concerned, and thank you for coming and speaking and sitting through all this.
Any further comments? Do I have a motion?
Adjourn.
Thank you.
Oh, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays,
Happy
everybody.
holidays, absolutely. Which, thank you.
I know I'm not a union member, so